Trying to get everything going. Damn camera issues again. Terroir struck again.
Here's the hard truth.
The fear chart software is being difficult too. Any suggestions for easy-to-use app would be appreciated. Google Docs are one of the Google apps.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing? Man, we are live and
Mm,
online right now. I am having a hell of a time today. Can you
See
hear me?
if restarting Discord helps. One sec.
Okay, well, I can hear you. Hi, everybody, how we doing? My name is Waldo, and I like to feel the politics with people. Uh, the plan was to check the
Hear you.
news, see the latest updates, stuff like that, and then do like that Republican fear chart that I was talking about. But the chart software is just nightmarish. It is awful. It is terrible. It
Mm.
doesn't work worth a damn. I got one. I went on the internets and I found one, and then I started using it, and it just froze, and it does not move, and it
Ah,
will not move forward until I give them money. So that's not going to happen. Uh,
well, hold on. I haven't been able to hear you this whole time
oh,
until just now.
okay. Yeah, I
Uh,
thought so. My bars are moving up. KBP, can you hear me? Can you hear the Thomas?
the Thomas.
Yeah, you get to be uh, the.
Yes.
Yes, he hears. Okay,
Nice.
good. The robot lady is on right now, so I don't think you can hear her, but I haven't figured that out either. I'm not particularly good at any of this. I am a complete and utter failure when it comes to this type of stuff. You'd think I'd be better at it because I fiddle with it all day long, but I can only do things that are bad and wrong and stupid. Um,
Ah,
Volumes are okay too.
volumes are okay too, according to KVP. That's very nice. So what did I do? I went and found like this stupid little uh, chart software so that we could make a 4-quadrant chart. That was going to be the thing today. And then
Ooh.
I got it going. I added the x-axis, I added the y-axis. I tried to put a thing on there, and then it just froze. And I suspect that it froze because they want me to give them money, and I'm not going to do that. So now I'm scrambling to find other ways to make one of these things. I'm in Adobe Express right now, trying to, because that's where I make all my thumbnails for the YouTube videos. So I am poking around at that, and I think I can just begin from scratch and draw some lines, kind of paint the thing. Um, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm frantic. Oh, and the kid unplugged my camera again this morning. That's why I was a few minutes late. Again, my computer only has so many working USBs. Some of them just do not work. They're there, you can plug into them, but they don't work. This is a motherboard issue I'm well aware of, and what he'll do is come in there, plug the VR headset into one of those non-working ones, and be like, "Hey, the VR doesn't work," and then he starts unplugging things and plugging his VR into them until they work. And
It's
then
like you need to put a label on which ones work
I
too.
know I could label them maybe somehow. Um, like yeah, I'd have to label the ports or something along those lines, or get a new motherboard. But again, that takes a whole money and time and effort, and have to take the thing apart and have work and things to do around the house and all the kinds of fun stuff. And then editing, and I have entirely too much to do. And then I get lazy because I'm lazy. So that is the state of affairs.
Yeah, the
Uh,
motherboard's got to be like the worst thing to have to replace too,
yeah.
because like you have to pull out everything from it
hmm
and then put the motherboard in,
hmm
and then it's like you have to build the entire computer again.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so it's a
It
pain in the
is the
ass.
entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is all of the things.
Put
So,
him to work in the mines and earns his own PC.
well, where could he work? He's a child. He hasn't got any talent or skills or I don't know. He's not employable.
The
He is
mines.
the mines. Well, I don't have any mines nearby. You have one nearby? Link it. Um, so let's see about. Um, let's do some news. How about that? We'll do the basic stuff, and then I will poke at the uh, stuff in the background while we're talking, hopefully. And Google Docs. That's what I should probably do. Is just go to Google Docs and start a brand new doc, right? How complicated is that? I'm not familiar with it, so that is part of the issue as well. I don't like use it
A new dock for what?
the to make the chart.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Uh, but that turns into
Would make it a
me.
full-on paint stream too, if you
That's what
want.
I'm thinking. Like a paint stream would be better. At this point, it would be better than what I've got. I search for docs and literally nothing. I don't know how to use Google Docs. I don't use it. I don't see it. I don't have anything to do with it. I don't press the buttons. I don't do anything with it. So I get very confused. And then I search and literally nothing appears.
Google Slider cells.
I don't know what that is, KVP. Literally no idea. I don't even get to it. Google Slide or Cells. Where is it? How does one slides? That one says slides. Okay, now it brings up here. I'll even put it on screen. Webcap screen. Then we bring up the game capture off, window capture on. Click on it. Go here. Go to Google Chrome. There it is. Let's close that for now. Go here. I don't know what to blank presentation. Well, I don't want to create a slide show. Just have all the stuff on it. Oh, and the delete button doesn't work. Okay, well, okay, got it. Great. Go away. I can't. I'm hitting the delete key and nothing happens. Mm. See, this becomes a completely different stream where you would just watch an idiot try and comprehend how to internet. Um,
It's all right. We're approaching that boomer territory,
yeah, and I'm mostly a
and
boomer with these web apps and stuff like that. It's true.
It's like watching student cram his homework in at the bell.
Yeah, I know, because I had a thing that was up and running and working. I did. I really did. I had right here, look at this thing. That's not what I typed. Anyway, I had a thing, and it was a chart, and it had stuff on it, and then it froze, and it stopped working, and it demanded money because they're awful. What was it called? It was creatively or something like that.
yeah, it's like when your dog eats your homework, and it actually happens, and then you have to scramble to rewrite the essay that you spent 3 hours
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Look, it's right here. I'm looking at it. And where are you? There, look, see, I had a whole chart here. And this, it won't do anything anymore. Like, I can't click on it anymore. Like, it don't move. I can't click here. I can't click here. I can't click here. I can't get rid of that thing. I can delete that. How the... Okay. Maybe it's unfrozen now? Good God. Why do you not do things when I click on them? Do I click... If I could just delete that, I could copy this, put it into a thing, and then paint stream on top of it.
I
But
mean, just paint
I
it.
can't.
Like it's a
I need
box
that
with three
box to go
lines.
away. I know. I need that box to go away. Yes. Why don't you? I can't scroll up and down now, man. Like it doesn't it doesn't do anything. I click on things and literally nothing happens, and I have no idea why. I don't comprehend why. I can mouse that, mouse that.
I mean, it takes like 2 seconds to recreate this in Paint. I mean,
Maybe, but it didn't have 2 seconds. It's quit on me like this morning at 9:46, and I've been screaming at it ever since. And I had to fix the camera.
mhm.
Um, okay, and I can't scroll up and down. I'm mouse scroll wheeling up and down, and it ain't doing anything. This thing is killing me, and it's just so close to being done. And all I need is to delete this thing right here, and I can be done with this, and we can end this rant. We can end this pain, and we can move on to something better. But I can't do any of those things because my brain is stuck. This is why I'm bad at PvP video games. Have I told you this? Like, if I try to do something and then someone either moves or gets out of the way or prevents me from doing the thing in a PvP game, my brain gets stuck and I like have to do that thing. That's why I'm bad at it. I can't adjust to
Not
the.
flexible.
I'm not flexible. I can't adjust to the new thing. Yeah, I have so close to what I want right here, and it's very close, and I worked hard on it, and not too hard, but I've got it everywhere I wanted, and it just won't work. I'm going to export it as a PNG, and it's going to give me this red error down here. Yeah, because they want me to pay them. Wait,
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's a product worth paying for.
it's not. Yeah, exactly. I have to pay them. Fucking hell, dude. Okay, we're going to stop looking at that. We're going to stop paying attention to that. And what we're going to do is something better, something more fun. The uh, the news. Let's do that instead.
Sure.
Let's feel some politics. Um, very late start to the stream today, but we'll go through the intro kind of thing again, I guess. My name is Waldo,
I'm Thomas.
and what we're going to do is
Feeling the hate.
feel the hate. Yeah, I'm feeling hate right now, but we are going to feel the politics. I am going to bring up, let's see, the news here, webcam screen, window capture goes to there. There we go. Very exciting. I'm going to turn the Robot lady off so that she does not interrupt. And she's off. All right. Do you need me to screen share? I probably should. Oops, that's user settings. That's not right.
I have your Kickstream pulled up.
Okay, okay. So yeah, that one's pretty quick. The YouTube's a few seconds behind, so you should be very
Yeah.
very okay with that one. U.S. continues barrage of missile strikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen. Oh my God, have you seen this? We're totally bombing the shit out of these guys.
Yep.
Uh, these Houthis, not cool guys, very bad guys, in fact, are attacking the one thing that you shouldn't attack, and that's international trade.
Well, yeah, and they've been kind of a global pain in the ass for years.
Yes, they have. They've been at it
They
for a very long time.
yeah, I mean they've been bombing like Saudi oil facilities and whatnot
Hmm.
since like 2017.
Hmm.
And generally when you think of like terrorists, right, you think of people that like they attack civilian locations that are well populated and they're trying to take lives and whatnot. These guys do it economically.
Yeah, maritime
Like
traffic. Yeah.
they take out ships in the Red Sea, which they're in a very advantageous position geographically to do, and then they launch missiles at oil fields.
Hmm.
Not good at all.
Yeah, that's the thing that's going to get you stomped on, honestly. Um, if they were, as cynically as this might sound, if they were oppressing uh, the people in their country, we wouldn't pay as much attention to them.
Oh yeah,
But
I
if
mean
they are,
that's that country's problem. But now
yeah,
when they make themselves a problem for everybody else,
hmm,
now it is everybody else's problem.
yeah, and yeah, they're going after economic targets, like you said. The the thing I am bothered by about this is that they are funded by Iran, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
If perhaps, follow me here, we were friendly with Iran, if they were more of our ally, maybe they wouldn't be funding them.
It, if I'm not mistaken, it was Iran that originally made or rather that originally soured relationships with most Western nations.
Mm,
Um, they used to
right,
be actually fairly westernized.
right.
Um, it wasn't until Ayatollah Khomeini came around and he brought a very radical form of Islam
Hmm.
with him and instituted it, and then stopped being friendly with all the Western nations because he believed that they were corrupting the people of Iran.
Didn't we put him in charge? Wasn't that the whole issue with our CIA? We backed him and not the other people.
I'm not sure about that one.
Um, I think I could be wrong on this, but I think that that was the issue is that we backed our CIA backed Khomeini and wanted him in charge because we thought he was going to sell us the oil. Again, this was back in the 60s. This was a very long time ago, or 70s. Um, we keep goofing this up. We keep meddling in there and doing
I
things
mean, it
wrong.
certainly wouldn't be the first time if that's correct. Um, it wouldn't be the first or the last time that we've installed somebody
Who
that
then
fucked
turns
things up pretty
around,
bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we should quit doing that. What we need, I'm going to suggest, is above board, in front of everybody, diplomacy, which we had. It was the Iran deal, uh, but it had Obama's name on it, so it had to be destroyed. That, and I've talked to you about this Iran deal before. I think it was a very big and important good piece of diplomacy. It was open to the public. Everybody saw what was in it, and it got us a few steps closer. It didn't make Iran our complete and total ride or die ally, but it got us closer to being allies with them. And
Um,
if Donald Trump had not destroyed it, thrown it out, uh, we would be closer to them, and we would have some sort of leverage. We would have some sort of allyship with them to say, hey, don't fund the Houthis, and maybe they wouldn't.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that the deal could have been okay, but there were at least a few too many concessions given in the deal. Uh, for one, a 3-week notice before we could inspect any facilities, and then we gave them a lot right off the bat. Like,
Hmm.
hey, you signed the deal. I think we gave them, what was it, or how many billions of dollars was it again
It
that we
was
gave them?
it was several $billions that we didn't
Yeah.
give them. It was theirs.
Well, we released it from holding from the sanctions,
Right,
right?
right. They put it in a bank because it was theirs. We told the bank, if you want to do business with the America, you will freeze this and do not let them access it. And that bank said, oh, okay, yeah, America's a better customer than Iran is, so they just held it. We had the bank release them their money. So it's not like it came out of taxpayer dollars.
Well,
And
either way,
I,
what I'm reading
okay,
here is that we actually didn't back Ayatollah Khomeini.
oh no, okay, is that a,
No, we backed his opponent actually,
oh, okay, okay,
and he took over anyway.
oh, well, that's not good. Okay,
Yeah,
uh,
we
okay,
were in contact with him, but we were uh, against him.
okay, okay, all right. I don't have chats up so I can see them. So okay, great. That is, so now we're bombing them, and I still would rather be uh, allies with these people. I think that if we had given them all that money, if we had given those concessions that you were talking about, if we gave them all this stuff, then what we can do possibly is when the Houthis start acting up, we can ask them, hey, stop funding them. And I think we would have grounds on which to do so, and they would weigh that cost benefit analysis. They're a real country. They have actual people in charge. They're not uh, a military dictatorship. They're like a legit country with a middle class, a working class, a military class. They have all the stuff of a regular country. They have language, culture, borders. They have all the parts of a country. They are a real country, and they would weigh that cost benefit analysis. They would say, hey, we could lose things that America gave us, or they could go back on their deal if we fund these people, and maybe they wouldn't. That's how diplomacy is supposed to work.
Maybe, I don't know. I think that they are also very ideologically oriented, right? So,
Their leaders are. I don't think they're. I've been reading about their middle class isn't.
well,
The
right.
regular
I mean,
people are fine with America.
the
It's
Iranian Revolution um, only took place like 42 years ago, something like that.
mhm.
45 years ago, something. It was in the late 70s, early 80s. So, yeah, I mean, back then they were fairly westernized, like I said.
Mhm.
But so you wouldn't expect that a lot of people would, or you would expect that a lot of those people are still around, right?
Yeah, and we should work to further westernize them. I think that's a great thing. I think it's a
Well,
great
sure,
idea.
but that's kind of their fight, right? Not ours.
Oh, of course it is ours. We can entice them to do so. We can become trade partners with them. We can give them diplomacy. Diplomacy is a two-way street. We can suggest to them, hey, this benefits you. Come up with something that they want and something that helps us, and then we won't have to do this Houthi nonsense. They would dry up. They wouldn't have the money to buy missiles anymore. And I think that
I
would
think
be
that's optimistic.
super cool. That's how yes, diplomacy is optimistic. Hey, let's meet and then come to an agreement and then make everybody better. That's
Yeah,
that's
I'm a
optimism.
pessimist on
Yeah.
these kind of relations.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I also think that their ties with Russia are stronger than our ties would have been even with that deal.
And what is that tie? It is an economic, diplomatic tie. Make ours
And military.
better. Make ours better. Make ours more enticing. Cost, make them do a cost-benefit analysis and say we benefit more from being allies with America than Russia. And I think they'll take it because they're a real country. Your North Korea wouldn't do that. You know, North
I
Korea's
mean,
not a
North
real
Korea is a
country.
real country too.
Nah, not really. Uh, it it has a lot of issues, and I think that it has more ideology than pragmatism. Would you agree with that? North Korea has more ideology than pragmatism.
Um, sure. But I think Iran has the same problem.
I think they're a little bit higher on the pragmatism than ideology. I think you're right. They have a lot of ideology, but I'm willing to bet it's more in the 60-40 range of pragmatism versus ideology, where I think North Korea is 70% ideology, 30% pragmatism.
Well, you also have to remember they have literal terrorist organizations that they're state sponsoring, like in their country in Iran, right?
Yes, because
Like,
that benefits them. They're not doing it for fun. They're doing it because they get something out of it. And if they got more from America than they did from those terrorist organizations, they would abandon them. Or maybe they'll do both. But uh,
probably both.
hopefully they would appreciate all of the things that they're getting from America, and we could then pressure them to abandon that thing that they're doing. That's that's just basic diplomacy, you know? Like, hey, we're friends. We gave you this. You gave us that. We're in trade relations. We're being good and right and polite. Can you stop doing that? Yeah, you're right. Why not both? um, okay, so yeah, the war continues. Do we think it's going to lead to bigger conflict?
Possibly. If it keeps going on the way it is, somebody's gonna mess up. I thought it was gonna escalate a few weeks ago when somebody's leaders got taken out, and I forget who it is now.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it's like the tensions there are sky high right now, and all we're waiting for is that one spark that lights the powder keg over there. And I think you're gonna see war in at least a few countries over there.
Mm. I don't.
I'm hoping we won't get involved as much as we have previously, but
It, de-
who knows?
yeah, it depends on who you ask. What CNN's banging the war drums. Here we go. Um,
However, all of the significant weaponry that
As long as we don't
the
put boots on
Houthis
the
are
ground
provided
again,
comes from Iran.
I'm fine.
all of their weapons comes from Iran, and here's a retired general on CNN talking about that we may need to destroy the Houthis means a power projection. So, as usual, the Communist News Network is out there pushing for war. Because it's good for ratings on CNN. They love missiles firing and blasting on things, explosions. So they do what I suggest what I think they always do is that they go and they find all these retired generals who want to be on TV. They bring them on TV, and then they talk about how we need to blow them up and wreck them, and uh, where their guns are coming from, and all the retaliatory measures that we have to take. That's not fun. I don't like that.
Yeah, the I mean it all started with the Hamas attack on Israel a couple months ago, and
Yeah.
now it's escalating everywhere.
Well,
So
that's the reasoning that the Houthis are justifying their actions. They would do this anyway. It wouldn't matter. Uh, what's
well,
the
they have been
alternative?
doing it. They've been attacking stuff in the Red Sea
They've
for
been
a
attacking
decade
things for
now.
years. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a new thing. Chat asks, what's the alternative to U.S. attacking the Houthis? Um, I would I would suggest that we let Australia attack the Houthis. No, nobody attacked the Houthis. Dry up their revenue stream. They're being paid and funded by Iran. If we were allies with Iran, Iran wouldn't pay them, possibly. More diplomacy, not more bombs. So attack Iran? No. Become allies with Iran. Become friends
I
with
mean,
Iran.
no,
Make Iran
Iran's not going to
so
be friends with us.
cool.
They
They
don't want to be.
could. I think they
They don't want to
could.
be westernized. The whole Iranian Revolution was a result of them choosing to reject westernization. The whole idea of the Houthis being backed by Iran is because Iran leads what they call an axis of resistance against the West. Uh, they are ideologically inclined to not work with us. They will never be friends with us. They are ideologically adversarial in like
They
by
entered that.
the nature of their
They
country.
entered that deal that Obama made. They entered it willingly, and
Yeah, that
we're
didn't make us
keeping up with
friends
it.
with them.
No, that's step one. You, I'm currently not best friends with this chatter because I don't know who it is. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. But we don't know each other in real life. Over time, if he came in every day and chatted all the time and then joined the stuff and then uh, uh, went to the Discord and then chatted all the time and step towards being best friends. So step one is open. It was the Iran deal that we had. I think that could have been a first step towards being allies with them. And if you don't take that first step, it nothing ever happens. We will continuously be adversaries for eternity. I would like that to not be true. I would like to take steps towards becoming friends.
It's very, like I said, it's optimistic. This is like some
Yes.
kumbaya stuff, you know?
Yes,
I
it
mean,
is.
I'm sorry.
That's literally liberal diplomacy. It's liberal ideology. It really is. Um, become economic friends with these people. Give them a reason to work with you. Give them a reason to deal with you in a fair way. And if they're not fair, then you cut them off. If they are, then you give them more benefits. You give them friendship, and then maybe they won't fund the Houthis. Yeah, we could have allied our way out of World War II. Sometimes diplomacy works. Sometimes it's just appeasement. I know it's a difficult game. I
Yes,
agree.
exactly.
It,
I would definitely view Iran as an analogy there, or as analogous to giving Hitler a bunch of stuff, right? I mean, he was always going to go to war to retake, at the very least, retake the stuff that was lost in the uh, fuck what the conventions after World War One, where they
oh, the
lost
Geneva
like
Conventions and whatnot.
no, no, Geneva. Oh my God, what were the meetings that ended World War One?
Oh, Warsaw.
No,
I forget the names. Paris Peace Conference, convened in 1990 at Versailles, just outside of
yeah,
Paris.
the Versailles Conventions. That's
Okay.
the one, or the Versailles Pact or whatever.
Hmm.
Yes, the Treaty of Versailles. Thank you. Uh, yeah, the Germany lost like a whole bunch of land in the Treaty of Versailles, and Hitler was always going to attack and start a war to, at the very least, reclaim that land. And then it turned into attacking all of Europe, because of course Europe retaliated when he did that, as you would expect.
Right, and
But
he was taking land. The appeasement of Hitler was letting him have somebody else's country. I don't think
yeah,
that's what Iran is doing at the moment. Um, if the Houthis are hitting economic targets for economic reasons, and Iran is backing them because they benefit economically, that's a lot different than stealing other people's land. That is I think, issue that we could somehow work out a deal with them to benefit them more economically than backing the Houthis. If they have two options that make them money, backing the Houthis makes them X amount, becoming allies with America gives them twice that amount, I think they would take it.
I doubt it. I think they're too ideologically inclined
Okay.
to cease what they're doing, regardless of what we give them.
Okay. And that is okay. We're pontificating about the future. Appeasement of Iran is letting them get nukes. Uh, they see the board. Here's why Iran wants nuclear weapons. That's the big kids table. The people at the UN who have nuclear weapons get treated better. That is it's not a game I'm happy about, but if you lay the globe out as a game board, as a board game, like Risk, the people with nukes get more benefits, they get treated seriously, they get to be more important. And they recognize that. I recognize that. They see
Well,
it too.
yes, we don't want them to get more important. The thing is
They
that,
want to be
in that
more
same
important.
game board
Mhm.
is their ultimate goal, being a theocracy,
Mhm.
is eventually to go for that religious victory, right? It's like civilization's religious victory. Everybody follows your religion and whatnot. That's what they're going for,
Mhm.
right? That's what they want. So whatever they can do that will further that is what they're going to do. If that means that they fund terrorist organizations and whatnot, uh, they're going to. the The goal is the world follows Islam.
And the reason I'm going to argue about that is because you've already said that the Houthis are doing economic work, right? The Houthis are hitting
Yeah,
economic targets, which makes me
they are.
which suggests to me that the idea of their uh, religious thing is a cover. It's not quite their real goal. Their real goal is money. Their real goal is market domination, because that's why they're backing the Houthis and telling them to hit economic things. We could liberalize them and give them ways to make money that aren't terrible and awful to us. They would become liberalized from the inside out. That
Well, I'm
horrible
saying, what I'm telling you is
liberal tendrils
they've
would
been liberalized
strangle. They
before.
would strangle that religious fervor that you're talking about.
They've been liberalized before. The and then the radical elements in Khomeini came out, and they uh, they rolled back all of that uh, progressiveness they had achieved.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
mean,
You're right. They were a little bit liberalized. Then they fought against it. But I would keep seeding them and poisoning them with the liberalism. I would.
they use that at this point as fuel for additional hatred against the West.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's
Yes, they do. So we
those
have to keep.
very attempts
So we have to keep
actually push
trying.
them further away from us.
So the only answer is forever enemies.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, especially given it's they have a very adversarial relationship with Western ideals in the first place. I don't think we're compatible.
I don't love that idea. I would rather try to become allies at some point. But that's again, yeah, my optimism versus uh, yeah, I would rather work towards becoming friends, even if it fails 100 times. Maybe the 101st we'll accomplish something, rather than just accept that we are forever enemies and we will always be antagonistic towards each other. And I see your point, though. Have I read any of the Iran political leaders' writings? The political leaders in Iran are different than the people. If you have watched the uh, things that have been going on in Iran for the past couple of years, the people don't completely agree with what their leaders are saying. The leaders are, just as Thomas has described, very uh, religiously indoctrinated. They want what Thomas described as everybody in the world being Muslim. That's what they want. Their specific brand. The people don't like that though. The people, there was that woman that got accidentally killed by the morality police, and there was a huge backlash to that because the people don't agree with those leaders, and I think that's where we seed that liberalism. Those people throw the leaders out or get new ones and abandon the morality police, abandon the uh, forced religion and stuff like that. And then we get better leaders, hopefully.
I mean, that is kind of on them to do, though, and I do
Yes,
think that
it
the
is.
people are responsible for the leaders they allow to be in control.
Yeah. I haven't seen, no, not political assassinations, but don't let them be in charge anymore. Build a new government. Uprisings, possibly. They had giant protests. Not, it was only a couple of years ago where they were doing gigantic protests over this woman who got killed by the morality police. She didn't have her headscarf on the right way, and then they took her to the secret police base, and she gave them some sass, and they hit her in the head, and she died. This is not a good thing. Nobody likes the morality police. Uh, let's see. What were they? They were protests. Uh, yeah,
Bog is correct again. Uh, it would require a legitimate revolution
yeah. I
in
think
Iran.
you're right. It would require a revolution. I think you're right, but I would somehow love for America to back that or help that or nudge it along in a
Weren't we just
diplomatic
talking
way.
about how we should stop doing those things
Well,
and trying to install leaders and
we're not installing them. We're helping them. Uh, you're right, and the CIA only knows how to do it one way. I would want the people to do that, but the CIA only knows how to do it from the maximum regime change situation. So we need the CIA to back them, but not run them, I guess. Hmm. Yeah, not good. You're right. Yeah, the CIA would be helping them, backing the rebels. So maybe we
just like when
econ.
we
How do we economically incentivize the people to do a full-on revolution without actually taking over and telling them how to do it or arming them?
I'm just saying it sounds a lot like giving bin Laden lots of weapons so that he can help fight off the Russians, and then what did he do 10 years later? Right?
Mm. So diplomacy never works? I'm not sure.
It can work when you're working with rational actors and rational governments. I don't think they are.
Mm. Well, if those people don't want to be under this regime any longer and they would like to change their leaders, how should they do it? Just completely without us?
Yeah, yeah. If they like what they're dealing with right now,
Hmm.
then it is their prerogative to allow it to continue.
Hmm.
And if it gets to a point where they decide they don't like that anymore, then it is also their prerogative to overthrow their government. I don't think it's our prerogative to make
And
that happen,
we shouldn't
to
incentivize
install
them.
people.
Mm. We shouldn't
Uh,
incentivize them to overthrow
I
their
mean,
government.
and not only that, but these people want to live the way that they're living. Like I said, you just have to see how quickly the uh, the the Taliban uh, took over in Afghanistan. As soon as we left, it was like, oh, all right, Afghanistan is back to religious orthodoxy. Uh, and that's because they don't want the Western stuff. They don't want um, they don't want the female empowerment that the West brings. They don't want all of the different, more liberalized ideas. They're not about it. And yeah, I mean
From the
that's just what
religious
it is.
standpoint, I could see that, but I think they would appreciate a better economy. They would appreciate being part of Western markets. If you want to get on the international market, you really have two choices. You really have two choices. You have the Western, uh, backed by America, or you have the China-Russia side. Well, we do lots of economic shit with China too, but if Iran wanted to be on the buy something on the international market, they have the West, or they have the China-Russia options. Those are the only two choices, and I would prefer that they were friends with us and they uh, participated in our markets, and then we could tell them not to do terrorism or cut them off with these sanctions. Like inappropriate innuendo has suggested America is using the stick right now with Iran with all the sanctions. Are you suggesting we do less of those sanctions? And Islam actually has some pretty hardcore baked in anti-capitalist, anti-free trade ideas. I don't know about that. Okay. Maybe they do. Maybe you guys are right that they are, like Thomas said, they don't want to be liberalized.
And doing business with the West necessitates that you end up interacting with a lot of Western culture and art and whatnot as
Mm-hmm.
well, which they may just as well see as that as a disincentive to working with us. I mean, it's the same way that China interacts with us, yes, but I mean, they censor the shit out of everything that goes into that country, right? I mean, Iran would be the same way.
Sure. And do they not have dissidents within their country trying to undo that?
Somewhat they do. You mean in China?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhat they do, but definitely not nearly enough. You're always going to have dissidents. You have dissidents against the United States in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is what it is, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, but we don't want to empower the dissidents. We don't want to force them to change their regime and stuff like that. I want to somehow figure out a way to economically suggest to them that that would be better. The people like iPhones, but the mullahs don't like iPhones. I can agree with that, and hopefully that idea right there, that the people love iPhones and the mullahs don't love iPhones, would lead to them eventually uh, abandoning that form of government, either through elections or a full-on revolution. But we wouldn't want to. I think you're right. We wouldn't want to feed them. We wouldn't want to arm them. That does not work out well for us.
Yeah, typically that doesn't go great.
Okay.
And whoever we back is probably going to be ideologically motivated in their own way, which also might not align with our um, very rosy ambitions for what we want them to be. So they're going to be what they're going to be,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we just have to leave them to their devices. But in the meantime, what they are is our adversary, which means that yes, we do have to take actions against them. We do have to make sure that we're preventing them from achieving nuclear weaponry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. We shouldn't allow them at the moment to have it. But what if we laid out the steps, to becoming a real country towards that? They want it. They're either going to get it through the proper steps that we lay out for them, or they're going to get it clandestinely. Is that a word? Clandestinely, the way all the other countries did. And
I mean, the step one to becoming a real country is to not be a theocracy, which is never. I don't think it's going to happen.
which can't happen to
Unfortunately.
them.
So,
Okay. You might be right on that one then. If step one is don't be a theocracy, they cannot clear step one. Okay. That's a thought I hadn't thought about before. As much as I do dislike organized religion, emo Waldos in chat, the I hadn't thought about that before. Okay. So there's a risk of using economic incentives. If it becomes clear you're using economic incentives, the religious extremists can always point to it and say you're screaming the Jews and then put them to your efforts. Yeah, you're right. Pog 42.
well, that's what
I
I was
think
telling you earlier as well.
that's what
I didn't
Thomas is
specify
saying as well.
Jews, but
Yeah, yeah.
you give that economic incentive, and then they can point at you and be like, you're the reason that your life sucks, or the Americans are the reason that your life sucks to their
Mm-hmm.
people, is what they'll say,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
And at that point, we lose the argument. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that was the Iran stuff. And Papag 42 is totally not a sock puppet of Thomas. We agree. Okay.
you would be able to hear my keyboard typing
I
if
know.
I
I
was
know.
typing.
I'd hear it. Totally cool. So what else is in the news today? We've got. Okay. Here we go. I wanted to. I might have to put my tinfoil hat on for this one. Where are you? Come on, computer. Don't foul up on me now. I'm going to put my hat on because last time, not responding. Come on,
Oh
web
boy,
browser.
which browser
There
are
it
you
is.
using?
That this right here that we're looking
It's
at on
Chrome.
screen is Chrome. Yes. Usually it's pretty good,
Hmm.
but I am running an awful lot of stuff today, and I have paint going on in the background. Vivek required my tinfoil hat last time, so I'm going to pop on my tinfoil hat. All right, just in case Vivek needs the tinfoil hat, I've got it. And let's see what he has to say today. Last time he required it.
Hey,
Here's
now,
the hard
Earl of
truth,
Whirl,
and nobody seems to want to acknowledge it.
I'm literally
But it's what's
advocating for
happening in
not
plain sight. And
doing
I'm going to ask you
anything
to
to influence other countries.
Yeah, I know. I got you. Yeah, the tinfoil prevents the 5G space laser. So here's Vivek telling us about the possible uh, plot to hand the nomination over to Haley.
seems to want to acknowledge it, but it's what's happening in plain sight. And I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. They want to narrow this down to a two-horse race between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley, a puppet who they can control. Then they want to eliminate Donald Trump this spring or whenever it is and trot their puppet into the White House. It's hiding in plain sight. We're not going to look back a year from now and say, oh, we were shocked that that happened. I think we're going to look back a year from now and say, how could we not see that happening when every clue was hiding in plain sight? They're selling us the rope today that they're going to use to hang
selling
us
us the
tomorrow.
rope.
And we have an obligation to this country to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm in this race because we have a duty to this country and the America First movement to make sure this lives on no matter what. It didn't start in 2016. It started in 1776.
Oh,
And
1776.
the system has made clear they're going to now stop at nothing, and I mean nothing, to keep Donald J. Trump out of office. I have pushed back against this at every step. I've filed FOIA demands against the Biden administration. What did Biden and Merrick Garland tell Jack Smith in those federal prosecutions? This week, I filed a Supreme Court brief laying out what I view as the best legal arguments that the Supreme Court does need to hear in order to overturn Colorado's disastrous ruling. I've pushed back against this at every step. I'm the only candidate who has said I would remove myself from Maine and Colorado's ballots if they eliminate Trump, and I've called on every other Republican to do the same thing because that's how we protect ourselves against this election interference. But at a certain point, we have to open our eyes and see the hard truth. And yes, our duty is to this country. And so all I'm asking is to open your eyes, see the plot. It's staring us in the face. It's
Wake
a hard
up,
pill
sheeple.
to swallow.
Okay, so that was Vivek the fake spitting straight conspiracy theories. Sell us the rope. That is a very common conspiracy theory buzzword. What was the other one? The wake up, sheeple. You have to wake up and see what's in front of your eyes. There was another one in there. But they're going to eliminate Donald Trump later and give it to her. I don't like that guy. I think he's a fake. I really think he does. He's got to get those buzzwords in, that's right. What do you think, Thomas?
I think that he is definitely trying to be Trump's VP.
Okay. This is a ploy to get Trump's VP?
Yeah, and that it's a little. I mean, he is going after Haley, I think, because Haley would be a really strong candidate to be Trump's VP as well. But that's all that is really is. He's playing to the conspiracy-brained people that have come around with the whole QAnon whatnot business. Um, don't know how well it's going to work. We'll see. But I think Trump has the nomination locked up at this point, and everybody that's still in the race is playing for VP.
Well, sure. Yeah, they see the numbers. They know that Donald Trump is definitely winning. And I, yeah, Vivek, if he plays his cards right, he gets to be the VP. If he plays his cards not quite right, then he just gets to be the new Tucker Carlson. He gets to be the new conspiracy guy. He gets to go on and get a show on X and tell you about how uh, they're coming for you and how they stole it from Donald Trump, folks. What's going to happen is the CNN, the Communist News Network, has decided who's going to win this race, and that's what he wants to do because it's fun. He wants to be a live streamer. He should just be a live streamer. But to get the cred, to get the backing of your live stream, you have to run for office first. It's a brilliant marketing move, I suppose. He has to be on TV. I guess people like me to watch him and vote, and not vote for him, but watch him and click on his links and stuff like that. And then when he launches his X career as a live streamer, everyone will watch it.
Possibly. I imagine that Tucker Carlson has probably seen pretty steep ratings drop off since leaving Fox. Actually,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen anything from him in a while.
But he's also had his leash removed. Like, he's no longer bound by a corporate overlord who's going to tell him what you can and can't talk about. So he has been, so that's why he's been talking about UFOs on his stupid little show. But that's fun, I suppose. I like live streaming. It's fun. As long as I'm not
I think
doing a poor job.
The UFOs stuff is actually fairly credible.
It's fun to talk about. It is fun to watch. It is fun to discuss while on a stream. It's fun to talk about with your friends. It's fun to look for the links and stuff like that and craft theories. Theory crafting is fun. And
well, I mean, specifically the ones from the Navy with those pill ships.
Yeah. We can discuss that in a minute. Let's not change the subject too far.
Yeah.
But I agree, and that's fun to talk about. Theory crafting is fun, and theory crafting about UFOs is fun. Theory crafting about World of Warcraft is fun. Theory crafting about Path of Exile builds is fun. Theory crafting about elections, I think we cross a line there. I think when you start telling people that the elections aren't real, or that CNN is pushing Nikki Haley and forcing Vivek Ramaswamy out, you're crossing a little bit of a line. Those theory crafts start to affect real people in real ways and the laws that we have to live by.
I mean, I certainly think that you shouldn't stifle that either, though. I mean, is it wrong to say that Russia's elections are not exactly fair and balanced elections?
If you're reporting on things, that's acceptable. If you're theory crafting on Facebook, I might have an issue with it. I'm not sure how to deal with that issue.
But yeah, and Popog, unfortunately, the last person that we tried to bring onto the stream channel decided it was a good idea to shout the N-word, and we barely stopped him.
Yeah, that's that.
Barely caught him in time.
Popog, become a follower. Go to the Discord. Prove to us that you're not just going to hop online and scream the N-word at the top of your lungs, and I'll be happy to bring you on. It's just, that's what happened. What was it, a year ago now? A year ago, I got excited. There were people in chat. I was still brand new at streaming, and I hadn't done it very good, and these people were in there, and they wanted to talk about things, and I brought them on, and then bam! He tries to scream the N-word, yeah.
I saved you from that one, too.
Yeah,
remember?
you
I pulled you off stream for a second. I was like, hey, look at this guy's name. He's about to say something.
Yeah, his name was a...
Be ready with that mute button.
Yeah, you absolutely saved me. His name was a slight slur that I hadn't noticed because I'm more looking at the chat, looking at the numbers, trying to get the things working, and bringing him on and putting him into the thing. And then Thomas told me, hey, this guy has a slur for a name. And I was like, oh, no. Okay. So Popog has brought us a conspiracy theory. I have my hat on. I'm ready. This will not penetrate into my brain. If it is real, it won't penetrate. I'll be able to think about it logically. If it's unreal, it won't poison my brain. So Very
You know, I
important
never
tinfoil.
understood the tinfoil hat thing because when your TV isn't getting good reception. Well, back in the day, I'm a boomer, so I remember when we had antennas, right?
Right.
And what did you do with that TV to boost the signal? You put tinfoil around that antenna and made it
Hmm.
a cone,
Hmm.
right? And oh man, I don't know. I
Extended
think I
that
think you
thing.
might actually be boosting those
I'm
conspiracies with the
boosting the
tinfoil hat.
conspiracy thing. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So here's our conspiracy theory. The NFL is the modern Coliseum run by lizard. Okay, hang on. Let me put on my voice. Uh, the NFL is a modern Coliseum run by lizard people as a way to control us. Specifically, it's meant to influence our political views by acting as a proxy, like when the Super Bowl was between Washington and Colorado, right after they both legalized weed, or how the Patriots are Super Bowl champions during the patriotic years. Um, I could see that. It was right after 9/11 that the Patriots won. Uh, that is strange. And the conspiracy ties into the Vivek video. You're right. Uh, the NFL. It's just money. I think there was so much money involved in making the Patriots win right after 9/11 that everybody was on board for it, and maybe even subconsciously the team players were the players against the Patriots were like, "Hey, let's not try so hard." Maybe I would label that under
No way.
mass hypnosis.
Dude,
No,
the Patriots were so good
were
back
they
then.
that good?
I
I don't
mean,
know. I don't watch the
yeah.
foosball.
I mean, the NFL. I think that the players are too competitive.
Mhm.
I mean, they all want to win, and or they all want to do really well so that they get paid on their next contract. Um, I think that the thing that has really degraded the NFL's product is the introduction of gambling. Now that the NFL allows their games to be gambled upon, um, the product has deteriorated, especially in terms of the officiating and whatnot. I definitely think that if there's a conspiracy around the NFL, it's probably more around gambling.
Mm.
But poor officiating has definitely been a thing that you could draw some conspiracies around. Um,
uh, yeah, I think that gambling has a lot to do with it. And gambling, yeah, guess what? Money, capitalism. I think if there is a theory of everything conspiracy, it's capitalism. Uh, what's Popo saying? The two oldest coaches are forced into retirement. The kindly old liberal Pete Carroll, who may be going senile, and the conservative asshat cheater Bill Belichick. Uh, those are analogs for Biden and Trump. You're suggesting? Interesting.
oh
Uh,
man, Pete Carroll got a sweetheart deal though. I tell you what, he uh he was removed from the head coaching position, but then put into an advisory role. So basically, he's getting paid to be retired.
mm, he's
Like,
too valuable and important
yeah, so he's
to
like
let
a
run.
consultant. He might make a phone call here and then, and yeah. I mean, unless he's super duper still wants to coach, in which case he'll have to quit and then take another job. Um, but and then Belichick, I think he kind of got exposed as a coach really by losing Brady. I think he's probably past his time at this point. He was really good back in the day, um, but then they gave him general manager powers um, over time, and he's not as good of a general manager as he was a coach.
Okay.
And it was just time to move on. He's probably past. He's actually not probably. He's well past his prime. Um, yeah.
Okay. Well, conclusion: Vivek is 100% right. Lizard people will force both Biden and Trump out. Okay. Um, that is a theory that I have heard, and will keep my eye open for. Uh, mm, I very good, Alex Jones. Thank you. I try. Um, it's one of my very few talents. I used to be really into conspiracy theories, like real into it, but I had to dump it uh, after 2012. They turned the friggin' frogs gay. Papog, you just turned a frog gay. Are you proud of yourself? Are you happy about that? You did this. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm a small streamer, and every little bit counts. You are a big part of this little stream. I appreciate it. Gay frog daddy. Okay, so I'm going to pop the hat off. It is very hot. It makes my head sweat. Yeah, all conspiracy theories end up with declaring martial law. You spelled it correctly too. I'm glad you spelled it the right way, Shinsinto. This proves that you are also a conspiracy theory. You spelt it Marshall, like the name of a person. That means you're on those boards. I see you. You just outed yourself.
Shouldn't Marshall be with 2 L's?
No, Martial, Martial, is the proper way. But
Oh, yeah. I'm so stupid.
but yeah. So when dummies on it's a meme at this point on conspiracy boards to call it martial law, like the human name instead of
Like Marshall
MAR.
Mathers.
Yeah. That's the a bunch of dummies came onto conspiracy theory websites and used the incorrect spelling, but now it's been used as a joke of incorrect spelling
It
so
was used
long.
incorrectly so many times it became a meme.
It became a meme, yeah. And Shinsinto
Incredible.
knows the memes, which means he's on those boards. So watch out for him. I see him. It's like somebody uses a couple of words, and you're like, oh, okay, you're one of those. Okay, so he's just done that. The head sweats are because they're drawing the thetans out. It's true. Getting rid of those things. We do not need them. I am working in the background while talking on
Making a box with 2 lines in it.
I'm making a box with lines. Yeah. It's not that hard, but the thing about Paint 3D is once you put the text down, you can't adjust it, which is very strange to me.
Can't you just use the regular paint?
I probably could.
Because then you could just use the select tool to move text around by selecting it and then dragging the box.
Maybe I could do that. Why am I using Paint 3D anyway? Because yeah, I can't. Can I select things afterward? No, I don't think I can. Paint 3D seems to be suck. So we're going to swap, don't save, over to regular Paint. And we're going to do a Paint stream. So, well, it just pops right up. So what I've done, what did I do? Over the past week or so, I have been telling all of the people in chat and all of the people on the Discord to type in things that Republicans are afraid of or not afraid of. And we are going to put them into a Foursquare chart that says the amount of fear they have over the thing and the amount of actual harm that the thing has. So that's kind of what I've been, because it befuddles me, the things that they are talking about, afraid of, not afraid of. You and I got into this a little bit when we were discussing fentanyl, because I don't understand why they're so afraid of it. I think I know why, because it comes from China and Mexico, so they're overly afraid of it. And I don't know if you watched it, Thomas, but I did. Yeah, I think it was 2 Saturdays ago where I talked about fentanyl. I haven't posted the video because I'm still editing it, and I wanted maybe you to input on it. Feel free to tell us your thoughts on fentanyl.
Right. So my thoughts. By the way, you should be able to read the rules channel now. Popog. I have to actually fix that permission system because it's not allowing me to just give everyone permissions to read it. So I'll have to look into that. But in terms of fentanyl, so the thing about fentanyl is when it was first brought up, you mentioned that it seems that Republicans only have a problem with something when it affects white people.
Mm-hmm.
Was that about that
Well,
accurate?
that was one of the suggestions I was going to make, is that they are fear mongering over it because it isn't. It is a real problem, and the idea that they ignored the entire drug war. They don't care for the if yeah, that was my thing. If this were inner city black teenagers dying from fentanyl overdoses, they wouldn't give a damn. But because it's Appalachian middle-aged white people, they do give a damn. That is my uncharitable description of the fentanyl crisis
I
and
think
how
that is pretty
Republicans.
uncharitable.
Yeah, it is.
And my issue with that is the reason that fentanyl is the one that's being focused on, as opposed to literally any other drug, is because fentanyl is responsible for 90% of the overdose deaths in the country. Anything that involves an overdose with cocaine or heroin or any other number of drugs, 90% of the time, there's also fentanyl involved.
Hmm. Because it's cheap and
So
easy, and they cut it in there, and everybody likes it. And it
yeah, and they're putting it in everything.
right.
They're and fentanyl is an extremely potent drug. It is 50 times stronger than morphine. Yes, Shinsento, it's like 90%. Maybe my stats are a little off, but the vast, vast majority of overdoses in the country are from fentanyl.
I looked at those numbers, and you are correct. Not that, well, because it is due to them, yes, and they are involved. They're mixing the fentanyl in a lot of other drugs. They're mixing it
Yeah,
in
they're
to make it
cutting
more
the
potent
heroin,
and
they're cutting the
stronger.
cocaine. They're putting fentanyl in it. The fact that fentanyl is as strong as it is the problem, because it is 50 times more potent than morphine, which means it's unbelievably easy to overdose on the stuff. It will fuck you up. Um, and it's in very small doses that it does that. That's why fentanyl is the thing that's being attacked, is because it is responsible for the vast, vast majority of overdose deaths. And that's not just for white people either. In fact, if you are talking on a proportional basis, it actually has a greater impact on the black community and Hispanic community than it does on the white community.
That doesn't surprise me because they are more likely to use drugs, being poor. Um, uh, the reason I brought it up is because it keeps popping up on the Republican debates. They talk about it. They talk about it. They talk about it. They talk about the numbers of border crossings and stuff like that. They suggest that the they literally said on stage, Biden's loose border uh, border laws is
That's
causing people to
correct.
smuggle it in, and then Americans are dying. And that's
That
not
is
true.
correct. Yes,
That's not
because
true.
so fentanyl is a synthetic drug. It's not
Hmm.
natural, and it's
The
primarily produced in Mexico.
hmm And the vast majority of it is smuggled by people who are crossing legally, not illegally. The poor migrants who are begging for asylum or sneaking in through coyotes are an incredibly small amount of the fentanyl is coming from. It's coming from Americans who are going over there, picking it up, driving back legally, and then selling it for money. That's who's doing it. But the Republicans are fear-mongering and lying on stage during those debates about the poor immigrants carrying that stuff over. It's not true. Because they want you to be afraid of those poor immigrants. Because
I don't think that's the case. No.
that is the...
I think that they're talking about fentanyl because it is a major problem. In fact,
It
drug
is a major
overdose
problem,
deaths,
and they're lying about the source of the problem.
hold on. Drug overdose deaths um, eclipsed 100,000 people last year.
Yes,
The highest ever,
because
predominantly from fentanyl. So
yes,
talking about fentanyl, yes, is
I
something we
would
should be doing.
I would
We
like
should
them to
be.
talk about fentanyl correctly. I would like them
That's
to
fine.
not lie about where it's coming from,
I get it,
how people are getting
but
it.
they're not just talking about it because it's affecting white people, right? They're
They're
talking about it
talking about
because
it
it's the biggest problem.
because it's affecting their
Uh,
voter base.
the United States, yes, it's affecting the entire country.
And their voter base has been given bad information about it. They're convinced that it's coming from China. It probably is. And it's coming through these immigrants who are
It's
crossing the border illegally because of Joe Biden. And they're
it's
lying
literally
about that
produced in
that
Mexico.
bit. Yeah, and they're lying about that part. And have
Who's saying
any
that
of them?
fentanyl is coming from China?
That's where the precursors come from. According to the Republican debate, it is. They have suggested that it is coming precursors from China being delivered to Mexico, that it's turned into a drug in Mexico, and then coyotes and immigrants and illegal aliens are carrying it all across the border. They're wrong about that last bit. It's American citizens carrying it across the border for money. So again, I always, everything comes back to capitalism and money. The reason they're
Oh,
doing
that's
that
silly.
is money.
I think that if someone's
Why is
bringing,
someone
you
carrying
know
it
what,
across?
if someone decides that they're gonna start bringing fentanyl into the country and trafficking it, then what I think is if they're caught doing that, if they're a naturalized citizen, they lose their citizenship. Done.
I mean, you'd go to jail and you'd lose a lot of the rights that you have as a citizen, but I don't think you should lose your citizenship over that. But I mean,
Nope.
that's a
Lose
law
citizenship,
situation.
yes.
We can discuss
That
whether or not
they are
the
literally responsible for killing tens or hundreds of thousands of people. They're worse than the terrorists that performed the 9/11 attacks.
right, and they're not doing it for ideological reasons. They're doing it for money.
I don't care why they're doing it.
Okay, great.
They're doing it. They're
They're
killing
doing
tens of
it.
thousands of people.
Punish them as
A
a
100,000
they
actually.
need to be punished. I'm on board. This is a crime and it shouldn't be allowed. Um,
And guess what? If they're not citizens, then it does become an illegal immigration situation.
okay, the vast majority. Let's do a hypothetical here. Donald Trump got his wall. It has been built. It has been manned. It is entirely from sea to sea, blocking the Mexican thing. The numbers I was looking at 2 weeks ago say that like 5% of the fentanyl will be stopped. 95% of it keeps right on trucking, just like it always has.
Do you think that we could stop more of it by improving the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency's funding and manpower?
It depends. It's a tricky situation because here's what happens when Donald Trump. Let's do another hypothetical. 2,000 pounds of fentanyl is stopped by Donald Trump. What does Fox News say? Donald Trump's a hero. His people stopped 2,000 pounds of fentanyl. This is great. Vote Republican. Now, Biden stops 2,000 pounds at the border. What does Fox News say? Biden's loose immigration laws are killing this country. These 2,000 pounds are a sign that Biden is weak. Vote Republican. They got both sides of it. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
fine. I don't care what the media says about it.
Well, that's
I'm
what
asking
the
you a question.
people hear.
If we got the wall and then we increased the funding for ICE, do you think that would improve the situation?
The wall, no.
The wall,
The
no, but funding ICE, yes.
funding ICE, if they paid more attention to the ports of entry and the people coming and going and did more drug testing, not testing, but searches on the people going back and forth, it could catch more fentanyl, yes.
That'd be a good thing, right?
Yes, I would be okay with that, but it's also at the same time not the actual problem. The drug war didn't work, and this new drug war against fentanyl, if we do it the same way the last one, it also won't work because you know who did a whole lot of we did lots of drug searching and for marijuana on the
I don't
southern
know if
border,
we
and
have
it
another option with
failed
fentanyl, though.
horribly. Yes, we do. Make people less miserable, improve their lives, make them not want to take dangerous, deadly drugs.
I get that. I get it, but at the same time, I don't. So the concept that you're describing here is, if you make all the drugs legal, then,
Well, I don't want them to be legal. I don't think fentanyl should be legal.
well, right. So you have to stop it from coming in. You have, at least try, right?
Yeah, I'm okay with trying.
So what? I mean, I know we talk about the war on drugs and whatnot, but fentanyl is one that you actually have to stop. It's not one of these ones that's like weed where
It's not actually harming anybody.
it's not actually harming anybody, and not only that, but it's an impossible war to win. You can just grow weed in a pot in your house.
Mhm.
Like fentanyl, on the other hand, is synthetic. You have to manufacture it. Fentanyl can be controlled.
It can be, if we can put hurdles in front of it. It can't be controlled. I think it can't be controlled. If people want it and they're willing to spend money on it, the black market will appear. That we can put hurdles in front of that. We can try to prevent those things. We can empower the ICE to search through cars. That we can empower people to look through the. We can search the vehicles as they're coming and going. I'm okay with that. Honestly, if ICE were finding these things and checking cars and stuff like that, I would be okay with that idea. But a large amount of their time and effort is just chasing down people who came into the country illegally. And I don't care that the people are here illegally. I really don't. And I've discussed that with you in the past. I just don't care. If ICE took all of their money that they're spending and all their manpower and all their office hours from that to finding the fentanyl, I would be okay with it, honestly. And if they found a bunch of it and then asked for more money, I would be okay with them getting it. I'm going to look at chat real quick. Earl of Lull said a few minutes ago that us talking about other countries like we own them is exactly why they're adversarial. Entirely possible. We are filthy, filthy colonialists. And Popo says,
Yeah, I was the one that said we shouldn't be interfering with their
yeah, and
affairs.
maybe I'm the one being a colonialist and doing colonizing. There'll be no fentanyl in cocaine if cocaine is made legal. The reason there's fentanyl in cocaine now is because it's hard to smuggle cocaine, and cutting it with baking soda and fentanyl makes it much cheaper. Um, there's some argument for that, but I don't think making cocaine
Well, as soon as
legal
you
is a
cut
good.
cocaine with baking soda, it becomes crack, right? It's not cocaine
I thought
anymore. It's crack cocaine.
Okay. Is it more addictive at that point or less?
Hell no, it's just less potent.
It's less potent, right? That's what I thought. It's
They
not
cut it with
good.
baking soda so that they can sell more volume at the same price.
Right.
And stupid teenagers or like young adults and whatnot in the inner city, they don't know the difference between pure cocaine and crack.
Yeah. Makes sense. So I don't know that legalizing all of the things. Okay, so now the other thing to complain about with the fentanyl discussion is why are there so many people who want to get that fentanyl? Because they're addicted to opioids. Why are they addicted to opioids? Because their doctors pushed it on them. Why did their doctors push it on them? Money. Why did the doctors push it on them? So the doctors could get paid. Why did the doctors want to push it? So that the drug manufacturers could get paid. Money, money, money. Always comes back to money. The economy, well, not economy, capitalism. I'm working towards a theory here that the fentanyl problem is entirely capitalist fault. It is a side effect of capitalism.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I think that capitalism is something that's inherent to nature. I think that eventually, if you were to tie everything back to capitalism, sure you could, but only insofar as you can tie everything back to human nature. I think it's failed. I don't think it's a useful proposition to suggest that everything ties back to capitalism. We have to eliminate capitalism. It's never going to happen.
No, I don't want to eliminate. I want to move beyond. Let's move forward. Let's progress beyond it.
It's a difference without it's a distinction without a difference. Uh, I mean, it's human nature to want to get ahead, to want to provide for something, and yeah, I mean, sure, people can have greed, um, but I definitely don't think that it's useful to suggest that capitalism is a problem and then want to move beyond it. I don't think we can.
Not with that attitude. Um, did there were conservatives in the 50s who did not want Social Security, right? Ronald Reagan
Sure.
famously suggested that it would be the death of our entire country if Social Security was allowed to pass. Uh, Social Security is a socialist system. Are we better or worse because of it?
Probably worse, actually.
You think we're worse because of Social Security?
Yeah,
Okay. I think we're better off because of it. I think it's a good idea.
I disagree entirely.
I think it's improperly run by greedy government people, but it could be properly run if we elected smart, intelligent people. We simply choose not to elect smart, intelligent people.
Well, I mean, here's the problem: is every month the government takes $100 and some out of my paycheck to
Sure.
pay for Social Security that I may or may not be given in the future.
Assuming you live that long.
Right.
Sure.
Assuming I live that long, um, assuming that Social Security still exists by the time I reach retirement age, assuming that retirement age isn't 80 by the time I reach it,
Mhm.
you know, um, all those things combined mean that the government is taking $100 and something from me every paycheck.
Mhm.
Uh, which I could very, very much, or rather not very much, very well spend better or invest better myself. Um, in the meantime, I mean, Social Security, if you really think about it, my Social Security is how much is it really going to pay out to me, and for how many years? Versus if I have that, $100 and something every paycheck that gets taken out, and I get 2 paychecks a month, so we're talking $300. Could I invest that $300 at a better rate of return than what Social Security would give me? Yes, I do think I could, because even if they pay me at a 2-to-1 rate when I reach retirement age, that will still be less than if I had taken that $300 and invested it in the S&P 500 and left it for 40 years.
Yes. True. But what
So
is the S&P
Social Security
500
fucking
if
sucks.
not it's it's forcing you to put some behind because most people won't. The S&P 500
And you
also
know what?
exactly
That's
is a
their
capitalist issue.
prerogative.
It's a
That is
capitalist
their
issue.
prerogative to not invest that money.
Well,
Okay, if
most
they
people are
choose
stupid and we
to
need to
spend,
help them
okay, most people are stupid. Why do we need to help stupid people? That's
because
silly.
if we don't, they riot and eat us. If we don't help the stupid, then why would we what would we do? the the intelligent people like yourself don't need the help. I get it. Most people aren't as intelligent as you, so they need help. They need to be forced into a smarter, better position.
Can I opt
Progress
out?
requires, I would honestly, maybe, I could almost argue that I would listen to those discussions of whether or not you could opt out. I would. I would put everybody in mandatorily, and then at a certain age or something along those lines, uh, I would give you the option to opt out. Maybe I
That's
could
fair. I would I
I
would
could
say
understand
fine.
those arguments.
Social Security can stick around, but I should retain the right to opt out of it and not have to pay into it.
Right,
And the same goes for Medicare and Medicaid.
and worst case scenario here's why I would say you shouldn't opt out or you couldn't or it's an acceptable system. You, very smart guy, have put your money into the S&P 500. You are a savvy investor. You know what's going on. You have put all your 401ks in and they dick you. The market dicks you. It takes a dump. The things that you invested in are gone, and you have literally nothing, and you are 80 years old with zero income.
If you no, it doesn't work like
Yeah,
dude,
well, it
pull up.
does.
Do me a favor real quick. Just
I don't
pull
trust
up
the
a
economy.
chart. Hold on. Pull up a chart of the S&P 500.
Okay,
Just do it. Just do it.
okay. Let me find my thing. I'm over here on. I'm in Paint. That's why I seem like I'm not quite paying attention. It's not that I'm not paying attention. It's that I am actually making the Paint stream thing. Come on, browser. There we go. S is and
S, and that's an
500
ampersand, but
index. It's got a chart here. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna bring up the webcap screen. I'm looking right at it. It's there.
all right. So
Looks
select on the time scale all. You see
time
how
scale. Where's it say
there
all?
are times. So, well, hold on. Let's see. See where it says max there? Yeah, click max.
Click max.
It's
Okay.
right above the chart. It says 1 day, 5 days, 1 month. There's the max. Yep. Okay. So if you spent that $300 and you just put it in the S&P 500 every month from the day you start working to the day you retire, look at the returns, right? Let's say I was 60 today, and which means I was 40 years ago. Let's say that's when I entered the market, right? 40 years ago was 1984. Right. So in 1984, if you hover your mouse over a date in 1984, any date is fine. You're probably looking at the S&P 500 being right around
274.
274. Yeah. So over the next 40 years, putting in $300 a month, assuming my income never increases, right? Now, my money is at $4,500. Actually, $4,800. Right? And all that money that I invested is now substantially more valuable. I have a lot more money from just dollar cost averaging, even in times of recession and whatnot. I mean, if you started in 1984 and you were just doing $300 a month into the S&P 500, even when the crash of 2008 hits, you're still green. You're still in the money. There is never a point at which your account is red.
I'm agreeing with you for the moment.
And then
I'm
after that
worried that it
crash,
won't be that way forever.
what happened? It kept going up.
It kept going up, sure, until it doesn't.
Yes.
The minute I put my money in
annualized
there,
S&P 500 returns from 1984 are 8.8%. If you're not going to get
absolutely
better
correct.
than that from, if you're not getting better than that from Social Security, then Social Security is a fucking scam.
No, it's not a scam. It's forcing you to do the baseline. You're paying for the people who are too old to work, and when you are too old to work, the people afterward will pay for you. It's basic safety net.
It's a pyramid scheme.
It's a basic safety net.
It's a pyramid scheme, and
All
the pyramid
of capitalism
is
is a pyramid scheme under that definition. All of it, 100%. Even the S&P 500. All of it is. If you're going that far, I'm going to suggest to you that all capitalism is a pyramid scheme. All capitalism is a Ponzi scheme. Every bit of it.
No, not
That
even close.
stock, that S&P stock, is worth this much because the economy says so. Well, what if the economy says it doesn't? Or what if it loses its value because of we don't agree that it's worth that much anymore? It's
the
based
companies that are in the S&P 500, they produce something.
Okay.
Investors. We have a greater deal of production, or a great deal more production nowadays than we used to. We produce a lot more, a lot faster.
I respect production. I respect companies. What I don't respect is investors. I think they are the actual problem that I have with capitalism.
You need investors to run a country.
You don't.
It's not a country, a company.
You know who tells you that? Investors. They're the ones who tell you that because they play the market.
You need capital to start a business. You need
Uh,
capital in order to fund your
and
company, in order to
I
run it.
recognize that, and I appreciate
If you
the
don't
idea
have
that you
capital,
do
then you
need
need
it.
someone to give it to you.
You need
Those are your
someone to give it to you
investors.
because it's an investor. So
They give
if
it to you as
hypothetical,
with the expectation that you don't fuck them, that you actually produce the thing you say you're going to produce,
and
and
then
then you
they make a
generate returns for
profit.
them. That's not a that's
They
not
bought low and they're going to sell it high.
that's not a
That's
pyramid
the
scheme.
problem
There's nothing
because
that
it's
has
not
nothing to do with a
real.
pyramid scheme.
It's not real.
Um,
It's artificial. It's not
and
exact.
Popog is making a great point. The new investors are paying for the old investors through Social Security. That is a Ponzi scheme. That's what that is.
It's a
The the
basic social
the whole
safety net that
idea of a
everybody
Ponzi
gets
scheme.
to be in. The Ponzi scheme would suggest that there are people who are going to lose on it. And the only way
Yes,
you
there
lose on
are
Social
people who are
Security
going
is
to
when you
lose on it.
die.
No, well,
The only
no.
reason that
The
would
fact is that Social Security is going to not exist
because
in the
it's
next
run
century.
poorly, because the investors have poisoned it. People with
No,
investor
because there
brain
is
have killed it
nope, because there is less money coming in than we can sustain.
because investors don't want the government to do the investing. They want you to put your shit on the market so they can have it. The investors don't want all this money being saved by the government. They want that in the market so they can capitalize on it. They
That's so silly.
want
No,
all of
the
it. They
the
want it
Social Security
all.
the Social Security fund is funded from the taxpayer dollars of people who are currently working. It goes
Yes,
towards the people who are not working, right? Because they're too old.
right.
So
And that's in that
every
way
time we
it
have a new
works well.
person that joins the workforce, that person is now paying money, such as myself,
Hmm.
paying money into the Social Security fund that is being used to pay people who are too old to work.
Right.
The
And
problem is
hmm
that A, our population uh, diagram does not look like a pyramid anymore, where you have a larger base of
we
people
had a
paying into
baby
the system
boom.
than there are.
Yes.
Yes, we had a boom. So we now have a top heavy population, which means that there are a lot less people at the bottom of that population scale who are paying into Social Security than there are people at the top who are receiving money from it. So
Yes.
the Social Security system is bankrupt,
It
and there are
it
not
is
enough
a
people paying into it
mhm.
anymore to sustain it, which means one of two things. One, they will either raise the retirement age, or two, they will lower the Social Security benefit. And I
Or they
mean,
could just go into debt.
that's the end of the
The
line.
government could go into debt and hopefully
Is
recap that shit
I
later.
don't expect to ever see a Social Security check. I don't expect it. I expect that I will not see one. And
And that means it was run poorly, right? That means it was
it
planned
means
out
that the
poorly.
idea itself was bad.
No, it means that it was run poorly.
Because as not only our expected or our life expectancy increased, right? We ended up having to pay more money to more people who are no longer working,
That's a
while at the same
problem
time
that
our birth
could,
rates declined.
which is a
It
problem that
the
could
system
fix
itself
itself after they die. After they die,
the
we'll be
system
in
itself
debt and
has
we
been
could pay down the
untenable.
debt. So that was untenable. It is an idea and I like it and it's fine and it could be run better. You know what else is untenable? Me losing all my money because I fucking bet on the wrong stock.
Well,
Or
you're
the
in
stock
luck
market
because the S&P
dropping.
500 is a bet on 500 of the top companies in the country.
And if
If
those
I mean, I've
things
lost a lot of
change,
money.
yeah,
I've
you've
lost
lost a
a
lot of
lot of
money.
money investing in the wrong stocks in the stock market. I've also
Great.
made a lot.
And what happens to the
Um,
person who does lose a lot of money and loses so much that they can't get back up? They fucking die and live in the street?
you know what? When I lost all that money, it was my fucking fault.
Great.
It was my
What
fucking
do,
fault.
I don't want you to starve and live in the street
You
because of
know.
that. I would
Now,
suggest
thankfully,
that
I
your
have
Social
my
Security should pay for
wins
things like that.
to offset that,
Pop,
and also I retained a job.
Papag asks, what does Social Security was run poorly mean? It means that it was run by people, politicians who refused to raise taxes to fund it properly, and it was run by politicians who borrowed from it and never paid it back. That's the lockbox that Al Gore used to talk about. Al Gore used to say,
The IOUs, yeah,
I will
that's
put Social Security in a lockbox and no more IOUs. It's because terrible, terrible politicians borrowed money from Social Security when it had more money to pay for their pet projects or refuse to raise taxes. They said raising taxes will not get me reelected, hence I will take that tax money, that revenue that I need from Social Security. They stole from it. They ran it poorly. And that's what I'm suggesting, is that they refuse to raise taxes to fund it properly. They refuse to, and they stole from it and put IOUs in there for later. That's what he talked about. That's why the lockbox that he talked about all the time. And I think that poor running, that poor stewardship has led to it being more broke than it ought to have been. Also, tax the rich. I don't care. I know you don't like it, and I know Republicans hate it. Tax the rich. You have benefited more from our system than the other people. You can pay more taxes. I don't care. And it's not popular, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'm fine with it. If you are far more wealthy because of the choices you made, then you have more responsibility towards the society that helps you get that money.
I would definitely say that Social Security does not invest properly. If you put money into a bank, a savings account at, let's say, a 0.5% interest rate, right? You are losing money every year at a rate of between 2 and 8%.
Because you're not on the market?
Because you are not on the market. Because
Sounds
your
like an
money
investor.
is hold on, because your money is gaining 0.5% per year, while the rate of inflation is going at between 2 and 8% every year, depending on what year we talk about. It's usually around 2 to 3%, but in recent years it's been as high as 8.
And
Um,
I'm gonna
so
slightly
you're
make a
straight
joke
up
here.
losing money.
I'm
So
gonna
hold on.
Okay.
So the Social Security Fund, if it was run properly, would have acted like a pension fund. Pension funds
Yes.
that companies run, when you pay into your pension fund, that pension fund is then invested in the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Social Security doesn't do that.
Right.
Social Security
Because they don't want
is
the
a
volatility
bank.
of the stock market. The stock market can fail. You know that, right? It could possibly all fucking collapse.
If it all collapsed, then guess what? So does the country.
Because the entire thing is based on fucking investors. This is
If
and what I'm kind of half joking, half not. You're spitting investor propaganda at me. This sounds like when I hear you talk like this, when I hear investors talk like this, when I hear the people on that money channel, CNBC or whatever it is, talk, it sounds like propaganda to me. And if you do not give them what they want, the entire system falls apart and we all die. I think that
we all
is
die, I
the
don't think so. I think
poison that
what you'll
capitalism is. Capitalism is a poison that we are addicted to, and if we stop with the capitalism, we'll all die.
It's so silly. No, we don't all die. Capitalism is not a poison. It's nature.
It's a system that is working for us now, but I think we need to move beyond it. I think we need to publicize a lot of the things, commodify certain parts of our world so that it's not attached to the markets anymore. Decommodify medicine, decommodify housing, decommodify healthcare, so that these things are not on the market anymore. The drugs that make fentanyl are in a market now. Capitalism caused the Sackler family to push opioids to the doctors. Those doctors then prescribed them for capitalistic reasons. Those people then took them, got addicted to them for capitalistic reasons, and wanted more of them, and then used their capital money to get more of them, and now they've created a black market. This is a capitalism problem.
It's so silly to say that. No, because
Did
I
the
think
Sackler
that your
family
idea
push
of
that to make money?
capitalism is
Profit-seeking motive.
based on flawed premises. I mean, I think that capitalism itself is a fundamental building block of interactions, as the way that you're describing it, of all human interaction even. If I am a person that is growing carrots, and I have lots of carrots, and I want some potatoes, or
Mhm.
maybe some beef to go with my carrots. Well, I'm going to take my carrots, and I'm going to trade my carrots to the potato guy and to the beef guy, or to the cow guy, in return for some of their potatoes and some of their beef. Sometimes that
Basic
doesn't work out.
markets are fine.
Yeah, basic
There aren't any
markets.
investors here yet, so it's
Sometimes,
working fine. It's when the investors get in.
sometimes potato guy doesn't want my carrots. Well, how would I get potatoes then? Well, we would create a monetary denomination, right?
Great.
We would
Still
we would
okay
come
with
up with a
this. I'm
currency.
still okay with this.
Okay, but you're not though.
I'm fine with this. It's when the investors get involved. It's when the stock market starts to be introduced. It's when the investor comes in, buys low, forces the company to change so that the number goes up, and then they sell high and fuck off with the profits.
That number only goes up if the production goes up, or if it becomes cheaper to produce things, or
If people feel like it's worth more. The entire stock market is based on feelings.
oh,
And
that's so silly. No,
that's
it's not.
absolutely correct.
It's based on returns and or expected returns.
What is an expected return if not a feeling? You feel the way that this is going to sell.
Typically,
This seems like it's going to be.
it's typically an educated guess
guessing.
rather than
Educated guesses
a
are feelings, man.
no,
They
no,
are.
no. It's just at the same in the same way that being a weather forecaster.
Yes.
There is stuff behind it, right? You check the
They're
wind
guessing.
patterns, the streams.
They're
you
honest
check
enough to tell us that they're
the
guessing.
the high
The
and
economists
low
aren't.
pressure areas and whatnot. They find um, these patterns and they say, hey, based on these patterns, we expect this to happen.
Yes.
And then, I mean, weathermen get a bad rap, but more often than not, they're right.
And they're honestly telling us that they're guessing.
It's
The
it's
economists
not
tell us
just
it's
a feeling.
science.
And well, no, they don't. And economists, so there's multiple kinds of investing. Okay, there's growth investing, there's value investing, there is speculative investing, and you're talking about speculative investing right now.
Okay,
That's the one that you have a problem
that's the
with.
one I have a serious problem with. You're right. That is the one that
But
I hate
even
the
speculative
most.
investing, like a few years ago, the stock for advanced micro devices, AMD,
Mhm.
was down at like $2.50 per share. Everyone was expecting that company would go out of business. They got a new CEO, Lisa Su, and they started focusing heavily on research and development in that company. And now they produce some of the best processors on the market. They've outcompeted Intel at this point, and they're a really solid company at this. They're a solid company now. If you were an investor that speculated, hey, I think that they're going to turn this around, and you bought in at $2.50, that company's stock is now at $150.
Okay, great.
You profited, but as a result of being an investor, you could have lost your money. You took a risk. That company could have gone bankrupt. And it was your money that allowed that company to fund itself to continue to turn itself around, because it had to issue additional stock. It had to issue shares in order to achieve the money to stay afloat. That takes investors. That takes people who are willing to fund that company's prospects, that company's development over time. And those people do deserve to have a return as a
I'm
result.
okay with them investing and doing. Well, if follow me here, there's a company that's putting out decent product and it's steady. The investors will hop in, try to make the number go up at any cost, and
Not necessarily.
And slow, steady, slow and steady is not good for investors.
Yes, it is.
I don't. Why? Why are there so many?
It is absolutely it absolutely is good for income investors.
But it's not good
So
for those
if a company
speculative
is,
ones.
that's why there's multiple types of investors. And speculative ones are the ones that you have to have in order to generate new production, new ideas, new companies. A speculative investor is responsible for, is so speculative investors or even venture capitalists, you could say, are responsible for companies like Palantir, which is one of the leaders in AI. They're responsible, I mean, at some point, venture capitalists and speculative investors were responsible for the success of Amazon. I
Okay.
mean, there's no way that you can tell me that investors are a bad thing.
I think they are
When it's
given
the
far
capital
too
that
much
investors,
power. I think they are given far too much importance. I think they are given far too much leeway. I think that we pay attention to them to our detriment. If they're
if
the
you
ones
ask
leading, they're the
me,
ones that are causing the booms and the busts, aren't they?
that's the thing though. No, they're not.
They
And
are.
that's the thing. Here's the problem is if someone asks me for $5,000 in order to start a lemonade stand, right? I would very much expect that they're going to return that $5,000 that I give them as a loan, right? Or perhaps as part ownership in their lemonade stand. And I would expect a return on that $5,000, right?
Sure, that's
I
fine
mean,
with me.
I'm not giving them $5,000 out of the goodness of my heart. I'm doing it because I expect them to succeed. Now, if they turn around and their lemonade stand is great, they make the world's best lemonade, and it becomes a major company, I own a certain percentage of that lemonade stand that is now a major company. And I expect that I'm going to make a certain amount of money off that.
And if, say, there was a very large room filled with all of the people like you who put into who bought into that company, and then you made all the damn decisions, we'd call it a board of investors, and they're the problem. The board of
No, they're not.
investors doesn't
No,
know how to
because
make lemonade.
if
The board of investors
no,
doesn't know how
no,
much sugar
because
it takes. The
when I
board of
invested
investors
that
doesn't know
money,
how to do the actual work.
when I invested that money and I entrusted somebody with it to start this company and build it up, if I see that this person is fucking up and they're squandering my money that I expect a return on, of course I'm gonna be like, hey, what are you doing? How come you're making lemonade this way, which sucks,
Make the number
when
go
you
up.
should make it this way?
No, the investors want that number to go up so that they can make more money. And if that
Well, of course, and
bankrupts the
the
company,
best
they
way
don't
to make
care.
no, the best way
If it
bankrupting
if
no
it
no no no
harms the
no
company, if okay, I'm
bankrupting the
wrong on that.
company or harming the company is actually to the detriment of an investor.
Not if
An
the number
investor
goes up real
wants the
fast and you
company
jump
to
out.
succeed and to flourish.
They
Oh,
don't want that. That's propaganda. They want that number to go up as fast as possible so that they can sell it off and jump onto the next, buy the
okay.
next low,
The idea that
buy
an
the next
investor
dip.
doesn't want a company to flourish is silly. If you invest in a company, you want it to do well so that you can
Sell it
generate a profit.
immediately and then jump into the next
And
dip.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
All right, excuse me 1 second. I have to
Yeah.
use the bathroom.
Okay. So, thanks for everybody who's here. Press the like button, press the subscribe button, press the follow button. You'll turn a frog gay. I appreciate everybody who's here. Thank you for being a big part of this little stream. Thomas and I often go into these long diatribes where we're going back and forth. I am the progressive leftist type. Thomas is a conservative right-wing type person. He's not so much on the social issues, which is, I think, why we can talk to each other like this. Thomas's economy stream, right? I think that it's all propaganda, but I get to say that when he's not around. Thanks for coming in. What are we going to do? We are going to shift over. Does anybody want to do the chart, or do we want to save that for tomorrow? Because what I've got right now is here, and we're going to change the window capture to the paint. I've drawn a little chart. There it is, of things that Republicans are afraid of. And this is the idea that I've been bouncing around for the past week, where we talk about safe things, deadly things, not afraid or very afraid. So I think I've drawn this up well enough, and then what we'll do is just type the things from the Discord into here. So I've got a whole bunch of things on Discord, and we will chart them. And this is an interesting idea. If you guys want to do this, or do you want to continue with the economy stream, either one, I'm down for either one. But I only have a little bit of time left today. We could put this off until tomorrow, and maybe we'll start with this tomorrow, if everybody's having a good time with the economy stream. In the meantime, yeah, let's see. Got that. We've got...
Okay, I'm back.
taking a look at Twitch. I'm getting some Twitch chats and stuff like that. I appreciate it. Welcome back.
So this is the Republican Fear Project, I
This is
take
the
it.
Republican Fear Project. You're right. I didn't put the title on there. I should put the title on there.
Before we start, I just want to take the opportunity to talk on this subject.
Sure.
Something that I find is fairly annoying from the left, actually.
Sure. They are annoying people. I agree.
Is this association with everything that Republicans don't like with they're afraid of it.
Well, that's why maybe they're not afraid of it. That's why we need to put it on the chart. It's entirely possible that they're not
I got
afraid.
it, except that it seems very childish, right? Like,
My
why won't you
chart or
do
their
that? What are
thing?
you scared, right? And it's the attachment of the phobia suffix to so many things that I think is very silly, like Islamophobia, for example. Do I want people who firmly believe in a very backwards and barbaric religion to come into my country? No. Sorry. Does that mean I'm scared of Islam? No.
Well,
I recognize that it's a dangerous ideology.
The word phobia is difficulty, is a bad idea, but it's just part of the language. How do I move this?
Or
let's start easy with Ebola. Now, Ebola became a big deal during the Obama administration, right? There was the first American to ever catch Ebola happened while he was in charge. I watched the news back then. It was a gigantic, huge deal that Republican-type people were terrified of. They were afraid of getting Ebola. I knew human beings in real life who refused to go to Walmart because that's where the black people are, and they might know someone in Africa, which means they might have Ebola.
And that's silly. I don't think I know any
silly.
Republicans that are afraid of Ebola.
They were. It happened. I'm gonna suggest that did happen, and it may be entirely anecdotal, but
Ebola
they didn't want to go there.
Exclusively was transmitted by blood to blood contact, right?
Right. You had to be touching infected vomit or feces to catch it. That's why a nurse who was helping the people who had it in Africa caught it, because she was dealing with the after effects, and she survived. But the people who refused to go to Walmart were very afraid of Ebola. Why don't you move? And so that's why I
just click the box.
Aha.
There you go. Now select it.
Select it. What do you mean?
And now that will move.
It won't.
What?
It didn't.
You've selected the Ebola box spot. Whoa! What did you do?
Now it moves. Okay. All right. I'm okay.
So you want to use the big box? There you go. And now it moves. Yep. There you go.
I click inside it. Now I drag it. Nope.
Yes.
Didn't work that time.
Select it. Also, you can use your arrow keys. So select it, and now use your arrow keys to move it.
That's way easier. I'm suggesting that Ebola is very deadly, and that Republicans are very afraid of it.
Wouldn't
Well,
you have to move
very
it all the way to
deadly.
the right? There you go.
All right, I've done this wrong. I've made a mistake already. It's supposed to be real and unreal, not safe and deadly. I'm doing this very badly. I'm making this up as I go, everybody. Okay, so what we're going to do is make a new one. We're going to call it uh, unreal or real. Yeah, because Ebola was a thing to be afraid of, but they shouldn't have been. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And
And I mean, I definitely don't think it was just Republicans, though. I mean, wasn't
no, I
wasn't
think it
Ebola
was.
hyped by wasn't Ebola hyped by like every major news organization,
Well,
including
they
all the
talked
liberal
about
ones?
it, and it was the liberal ones that were saying, "Hey, don't worry about this. It's not actually a problem."
You sure? Because I specifically remember seeing Ebola stories on like CNN and whatnot
They were
that
talking about it.
definitely didn't say don't worry about this.
What they did, they said, "Hey, you can't get it. Here's how you get it by touching the poop and the vomit. So it's not a problem. Don't worry about it. It isn't what you think it is." And the Republicans were all talking about how Obama's the worst president ever because the first American ever got Ebola, and it's all his fault.
Hmm, I'm skeptical
Of that's what happened.
of your characterization. Yeah.
Of my characterization. That makes sense. Ebola is
But
gonna.
I also don't care enough to actually look up at the contemporary pieces from that
I
era.
swear, I'm so stupid. Why am I so dumb?
It's that lefty brain, dude.
Why can you just go down here? So I'm going to suggest that they were very afraid and it was very unreal because there was no chance that they were ever going to catch Ebola. It was a silly thing to do. It was a silly thing to worry about. It was never going to get them. While on the other hand, COVID. Why are you orange? I swear. I hope this is painful. I hope that I don't know if this is entertaining or not. I don't think it is. Uh, but you got to try new things. COVID, however, they were not afraid of at all. Refused to take tests, refused to accept it. It was not afraid and very real. I think these are on opposite positions. COVID had a very large chance to kill them. Um, Lots of people died from COVID, yet they were talking about how it wasn't real. It was a made up thing. There was the lab leak, and they were doing everything they could to avoid uh, doing the basic stuff like wearing a mask. All the people who wore masks refused to wear masks. They were very not afraid. So I'm putting it on this side because not afraid, and it was a very real thing that was going to kill them.
I think that's the result in a lot of cases of the um, methods that were imposed in order to get people to um, quarantine or wear masks and whatnot. It definitely was not presented well. Um, I don't think that COVID is something to be particularly afraid of, though. Um, it's
Because you're not afraid, but it is very real.
it's real. Not very afraid of it. In the same way that I'm not very afraid of the common cold
Well,
or the flu.
shouldn't the people who died have been afraid of it? Shouldn't they have taken precautions? Shouldn't the people have worn masks and things like that? to help stop the spread. It was a hard right-wing thing to just don't do that. Never wear the mask and
I
fight
think there was
against.
enough misinformation out there from both sides that it was reasonable to be extremely skeptical of whatever advice was being given.
Okay.
For example, for a long time, we were told to wear masks to protect ourselves. But at the same time, before that, actually, we were told, hey, don't go buying N95 masks. They don't work.
Right.
Well,
Because,
actually, they do work. We
well,
don't want you to buy them because
we need the doctors.
we need them for the doctors. Right.
I heard
Well,
that
actually,
message.
masks don't actually work to protect you. Even the N95, excuse me, even the N95s, they only work to protect other people from your own breath and
Mhm.
or spit and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So even going to buy those doesn't protect you; it protects everyone else. I
Yeah.
think that there was enough conflicting information out there for it to be reasonable to be extremely skeptical of the messaging around COVID.
Yeah, and I think that messaging was done very poorly, because if if the government told me don't go buy this thing, it will protect you, but the doctors need it more. I can understand that, but a lot of people are going to hear that and say, "Oh, fuck you! I'm more important than any doctor." They were trying to mitigate that by
That's fine,
being
but I mean,
disingenuous, and I think
being
I agree. You're
being
right. They were
disingenuous was a
disingenuous.
stupid
Yes,
idea.
it was a dumb idea. I agree. Um,
And in that case, I can't say that Republicans are in the wrong for not fearing COVID. I mean,
of course they
COVID's
are.
a
That
real thing.
it is a real thing, and they're not afraid of it because of that disingenuous. Because they don't want to be afraid of it. Because they don't. They. I don't know why. This is part of the reason I'm doing this, putting these things out here, because I don't understand why the conservative people that I
Well,
know don't care about COVID. They never did. The minute it
well,
started, they were like, "This isn't important. This isn't a big deal. We're not going to do this. No, we're not going to wear masks. No, we're not going to self-isolate. No, we're not going to stay in our homes." The state of Georgia was locked down for 2 weeks, maybe, and even then it was a half-ass lockdown. While other states, bluer states, were locked down longer because they were actually worried about the people dying.
I mean, it's not even. First of all, some of the bluer states had some of the highest death rates because of the decisions they made.
Because that's where the people are. No, not because of the decisions, because that's where people are. The blue states have more people, and they have more people in bigger cities.
Or like New York, where they literally put COVID patients into elderly homes
Because they have
because
all
they
those people.
and ended up killing a lot of old people.
They live on top
But
of each other.
I'll tell you what is COVID is not deadly if you're not obese or old.
Well, it killed a shitload of people.
Yeah, old
So
people or obese people.
I'm suggesting that it's deadly.
So I'm suggesting that if you are in your mid-20s or 30s and COVID's a thing, there's no reason to be afraid of it.
That's not.
There
how
is reason to be concerned if you have elderly people that live around you.
Okay, and so they're using that excuse. I think that they're using that disingenuously on their own to ignore it. Hey, it's not going to get me. Hey, I'm not afraid of it. It's not that dangerous if you're 20 or 30, and I have the heart of a 30. I mean, I think they're using these. That sounds like an excuse to me. I think it's a correct statement that you made, but dumb people are going to use that to ignore it and be not afraid.
Yeah, I've had COVID twice. I'm not afraid of it at all.
Okay, but it is very
It
real.
it's
So
real.
it's in the right spot.
It is in the right spot. I'm
Okay.
just saying
All right.
is
You're saying it's
I-
legitimately. You're
What-
saying
what
that they're
I-
correct in doing so.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying is they're correct in not fearing COVID. I don't think it's worth fearing.
Would Chat asks, would blue state lockdowns of schools be very afraid or unreal fear for the Democrat Fear Project? For the Democrat Fear Project, we can do that sometime as well. The school lockdowns would be very afraid and
Well, school lockdowns would be not afraid, right? Because they implemented school lockdowns.
they
Or is
did
it
the lockdown
as a
because they were
result
afraid. I
of
don't know.
COVID?
They're
They're
not
afraid
afraid.
of COVID.
We would put-
Therefore,
Yeah. School lockdown wouldn't be one of the categories. School lockdown is an action you take. We have to
I mean, I would say
look at
that
nouns. Yeah.
that COVID would probably be in the same spot that it is right now, except all the way to the right for the Democrat Free
For the
Project.
Democrats, they would be in the orange section. Very afraid and real, I think. The school
Whether or not it's
lockdown would be
reasonable
the
to be
action.
very afraid, I disagree with.
Whether or not it's reasonable is something we could argue. Child trafficking. I think that, and this might just be the conspiracy half of the right wing, but they are
I would like
absolutely
KBP to
very afraid of that.
I'd like KBP to elaborate on what he's saying fuck's sake about. Child trafficking's not real?
Not to the extent that they suggest it is. Not to the extent that the QAnoners say that it is.
Well, if you spelled it right with a K, then it might be real.
Well, I'm refusing to change. I don't know if I even could at this point. You know how you've seen how bad I am at this uh, at this UI. Can I type inside there? I don't think I can.
Child trafficking is very real.
It's
Just
very
gonna
much
say.
over exaggerated by the right wing, by the QAnons, by the people on the right, by the people who are pushing it out as this. They've put out numbers in the hundreds of thousands of children that are being trafficked from America. Hundreds of thousands of people are missing, according to the QAnoners. Maybe I can move this one closer to being real. Here we go. Here we go. How is this more acceptable? Because I think that it is something they're very afraid of, but isn't quite as extreme as they say it is.
Quick Google says that there are between 2 and 4 million children trafficked per year.
2 and 4 million. Okay.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids. Okay.
And it is a huge problem.
It is a problem, not for American children, though. Well, okay. Now we're getting into specifics. You're right. It is real, and they are very afraid of
it. Again, it's not a matter of fear. It's so silly. It's so childish to call it a fear thing.
They make movies.
Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way.
They talk about it on the debate stages.
No. I want to give you an analogy really quick.
Okay.
Suppose, I mean, you have children. You remember when they were infants, right? Suppose that your next door neighbor had like a medium-sized dog. This dog was extremely aggressive, very prey driven and whatnot. If that dog attacked you, you would kick that dog's ass.
Sure.
Right? But you don't want your infant child anywhere near that fucking dog.
Because I'm afraid of what it will do.
Are you afraid of the dog?
Yes.
I don't think you are. I don't think you're afraid of that dog at all. I think that you'd kick that dog's ass if it attacked you. But at the same time, you recognize that it could hurt your infant child.
Because
it's
I'm
not the same. At the very least, it's not the same kind of fear. It's a protective fear rather than a fear for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's more. It's like an altruistic fear almost.
Behind it.
If you were to even call it a fear,
I definitely call it a fear. You are afraid that this dog will harm your child. The dog would be worrisome. Also, anyone would fear what the dog may do. Aggression is often born of fear. So yeah, I think you're pointing out the different types of fear. I can agree that there are different types. If you are afraid for your kid getting trafficked, if you're afraid for
title something the Republican Fear Project in the first place is a way of shaming people for having the correct kinds of fear, as opposed to I guess the incorrect ones. Like,
well, then
it's
let's
almost
find
like
one that belongs.
What are you scared? Right? It's the 4th grade thing.
Then let's find one that belongs in the orange section. What do you think they are afraid of?
I think I mean, what did you have on your list here?
Oh,
Let's see.
I'm just going down the list, but I have a whole lot of stuff on the list. I'm. This is just feeling. This is my feelings, and we can discuss it. I like the idea of us discussing this. I think child trafficking belongs in the very afraid, but just about unreal. Um, so we're moving up a little bit in the yellow box because it is a thing that happens. It's just not but they fearmonger over it. They stand on a stage and tell you that the millions of American kids are being trafficked every year, and the QAnon has built an entire political stance over it. Um, Let me see what else have we got. Child trafficking, migrant caravans, Ground Zero Mosque, not real, monkeypox, AIDS, D&D, the gay agenda, TikTok. Sorry, the Bark Boys are going nuts down there. Maybe this isn't a very good project to begin with. It is confusing, and I'm even getting confused. Why is it not on the screen? Oh, because I minimized it? Okay, that's better. Double check the thing. Is there anything that they are very afraid of and is real and ought to be afraid of? I mean, nuclear war, I could say that, but maybe are Republicans worried about nuclear war? They tend to be a little bit on the war hawkish side.
I wouldn't say that. I'd definitely say that they were back in the Bush days, but
Afraid of it?
afraid. Uh, no, not afraid of war. I would certainly say that they
What are they barking at down there? Sorry, can you hear them?
yes.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
So we'll just put regular war. Where does regular war fall? It's very real.
real, not afraid.
And not afraid. Okay. So I think that is where they belong with that one. What about nuclear war?
Although I wouldn't
Straight
put
up.
it all the way at the top of not afraid. I'd put it like to the right of that box
Okay.
because we don't want it to happen, right?
So it moves this way because they're somewhat afraid of it.
Like war is not a good thing, right?
Right.
Like right on the edge of that box. I'd say it's probably where it
A
belongs.
little bit further to the right.
Yeah, yeah. Like to the line.
Okay. Okay. And we'll do the pink. Fill in that. Well, we'll
Like I'm
something
pretty
up.
sure that the not afraid designation comes from the fact that we probably win just about any war.
Okay. So
So
let's do nuclear war then.
uh-oh.
What's up?
Turn the whole
Oh
box
yeah,
pink.
yeah. I'm very bad at this UI. I am a terrible person. I'm an absolute buffoon. If you want to see me be more of a buffoon and struggle with basic UI stuff, you should become a follower. Click the subscribe button. Click the thumbs up. Nuclear war. Nuclear war. What do you think we're at for that?
Slightly lower than war on the real scale, and then slightly to the right on the afraid scale. Although I can't imagine that Democrats are any different in this subject.
Nuclear war. So very real. Well,
Possible.
nah, I would come down on the realism a little bit. And where do you think how afraid they are of it? Not very?
Well, I just told you I'd say it's just
Sorry.
below war in terms of realism, and then I'd say it's probably just over the orange line
You think they're more
in terms
afraid
of
of nuclear
fear.
war than regular war?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
So I'd probably move it down a little bit and to the right some more.
They're somewhat afraid of it, and it is a real threat. So, yeah, I could be on board for that. They
Where do you think Democrats would put that one?
very afraid and very real. Well, very afraid for sure. Democrats would definitely be over on this very afraid side, and it would be closer to the unreal. So, well, it would just be further to the right, I think. Good Lord, why is that dog barking? Sorry, everybody.
Like, I definitely think this one is one of those ones that's just like Sulas is saying, it's bipartisan.
Um, yeah, it could be a bipartisan. We all agree that it is exactly there. I'm going to turn the robot lady on. Oops. So that everybody else can chip in as well. Robot Lady is on. If you are typing into the Kick Chat or the Twitch chat, we will hear what you have to say. So come on in, tell us what you're thinking, and where they ought to be as well. The idea came to me because I see Republicans talk about the things that you should be afraid of. I think that they're fearmongers. I really do. When I watch those debates, they tell the people what to be afraid of. You should be afraid of these things. These are good, people are going to come across the border. They're going to do this thing. They're going to bring the drugs with them. They're going to cause a economic breakdown. They're going to cause all these things, and they just fear all day long on the debate stage. But the things they're afraid of, I'm not afraid of, and I'm trying to comprehend. I'm trying to wrap my brain around why am I not afraid of these things that they're afraid of? Is it simply a different ideology, or is it that they're wired different? Are they doing things differently? Why are they afraid of the things that I am not? And why am I afraid of things that they aren't, like COVID?
Well, I actually wonder if the axes on this are improperly labeled at
They
this
might
point.
be. What?
I'm thinking about it more, and
Mhm.
what I think it should be is not real, unreal. What it should be is justified, unjustified.
Okay. Okay, because yeah,
So
I started with
is the fear of Ebola justified or unjustified? Well, it's really hard to get it.
it's really hard to
And
get.
it
It
started
only
in
comes from the
Africa, and
you
only
have to
like
touch their
16
poop.
people in the United States ever even had it.
Yeah,
So
you have to
justified,
touch
unjustified, probably
dead vomit.
unjustified,
Okay,
right? So
unjustified.
Ebola's on the right spot
I'm just using the
on
wrong
that
term.
scale. Yeah, real or unreal, I don't think captures what you're going
Yeah.
for here.
Yeah. I think
Pro
you're right.
tip: do not eat poop.
Do not eat poop. True statement. Good job. Thank you for the pro tip. Uh, unjustified. Let's try that. Then we select it and rotate
Already
it.
failed 2024.
Unjustified. And then we're going to move it down here. Unjustified. Ebola. I think it's right. And I'm okay with the
Also,
child
the
trafficking as
movement
well.
happens faster if you hold the shift button, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, if I hold the shift. Okay, interesting.
Yep.
All right. New one. And then we're going to label this one. Because a lot of these ideas I'm just making up off the top of my head. You guys, I'm just pulling this stuff out of my ass. Justified.
So now this kind of changes the metric, by the way,
Think so?
is if they're not, if we're not afraid of something and it's justified for us to not be afraid of that thing, it belongs in the top left, the way where COVID is right now.
Justified and unjustified. I've done a bad job on that too. Yeah, this is a mess. I appreciate anybody who's watching this absolute fucking shit show.
It was your idea.
I know it's my idea. I have lots of bad ideas. I'm a freaking mess. I barely don't know what I'm doing most times. Um, I'm a lunatic who shouldn't be given power or responsibility. But justified.
Now,
Okay.
I'll say that I think COVID is in the right spot still.
You still think it's in the right spot.
Yeah.
In the unjustified.
In the
Or in the
justified
justified.
spot.
That is
It's
exactly
like
where it
watching
belongs.
NASCAR for the accidents.
We are justified to not be afraid of COVID. It's not something that's scary.
Yeah, the fans of this stream watch it for the accidents. Yeah, embrace the mess. Just live in the mess. Okay, so COVID we're happy with. Ebola we're happy with. War is a justified fear, and they're not very afraid of it. I could say that.
I'd say we're moderately afraid. Like that's right on the line, right?
Mhm.
Not afraid, but like not COVID, not
Okay,
afraid.
so we're happy with where war is as well. Well, are we happy with where nuclear war is?
Yeah, I'd say it's justifiable to be
it's
somewhat
more.
afraid of nuclear war.
Yeah, you should be more afraid of that than regular war. I agree.
Of course.
Child trafficking. Uh, I'm happy with where child trafficking is because I think that the Republican, the right wing, that are very afraid of it, and it is not as
Well,
prevalent as they
there are
suggest that it is.
2 to 4 million children globally every year that are trafficked. But I looked it up. I looked it up, and it's more like 2 or 3,000 kids in America every year. So,
Right.
Justified. Yeah, I'd probably put child trafficking right in that area right there. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we
Although
just
I
have
do think that there's a good reason for it, and that's the Jeffrey Epstein stuff that's come out. And I do think that probably we have a certain number of people, at least in
I am going to push back on Thomas. Yes, COVID is
positions
no
of
longer
power that
dangerous,
Jeffrey
but the
Epstein
reason
was
has
friends
very
with
little to do with
and was
Republicans'
involved with,
justifications.
that may have a higher incidence of involvement in child trafficking than the average citizen.
Okay.
And I might be getting into QAnon territory there, but
that's kind of why I've put it in the place that I have, is because QAnon makes it all worse. They just make everything worse with their nonsense. They're not real things. So QAnon suggests that 10 billion children are kidnapped every year, and then it makes it hard to actually look at the things that Jeffrey Epstein did without bumping into QAnon and conspiracy people all the time. They're not doing anybody any favors.
the migrant caravans is a very interesting
Migrant
one.
caravans. They are absolutely very afraid of migrant caravans.
I'll
I'm
tell
putting
you,
it all the way over
as
here.
a conservative,
might even
I am not
Ebola is not an
afraid
issue,
of
but I
migrant
believe that
caravans at
because I
all.
think the
I
world
just
is
don't
flat
want
and
them
Ebola will just fall
coming
off
to
at
my
what
country.
quadrant W.
Okay, so.
And I think I'm very justified in thinking that. So that's one of those things where it's a type of fear, right? It's just like I'm not afraid of that dog that my neighbors have, but I am very validly concerned about allowing that dog around my children, right?
Well, that's because you are afraid that what it will
It's
do.
it's a different type of fear, though, right? Like this is a protective fear, or concern versus one where it's like I think that this will personally impact or harm me, right?
That still smacks of fear to me. It sounds like fear to me. It does.
It doesn't, though. It's not.
It hasn't happened yet. The 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 migrant caravan hasn't ruined the American economy and stolen all our jobs. So that is a thing that is being suggested will happen in the future. It sounds like fear to me. You're saying it's a valid concern that you ought to be worried about this thing, or you ought to pay attention to it and prevent it from happening. You ought to prevent the dog from biting your child. I still think that falls under the definition of fear. What actions you take based on that is where we put you on the
Concerned is a mild version of fear.
Concerned is a mild version of fear, according to chat. I think where are we putting migrant caravans? I think it's entirely unjustified to worry about them, and I think that they're very afraid of it.
New York and Chicago are really afraid of the migrant caravans right now.
I'm not even sure where it belongs on the chart because I don't see concern and fear as synonyms. In fact, if you Google the two terms, they're not the same thing.
Okay. Um, I is it fear? Is it fear? Is the issue we're getting to? And those dogs stop barking. I'm afraid of dog barks.
No, I mean, I'm literally looking at it. It's like fear is fueled by worry and generates stress, whereas concern is productive energy fueled by emotional intelligence. Okay, there's one
You
set read
read
of
that
examples.
DeFiro one
Makes no
again. I'm
sense.
definitely putting it down here then.
Um,
Distress? Yeah. The migrant caravans were causing people distress. They're they're afraid of it. They were screaming about it on the news. They were talking about it in all of these uh, news programs. They were talking about it on the stage. Migrant caravans coming. They're going to take your job. You're going to be out of a job. You're going to starve on the street because a migrant took your job.
like concern is an issue that requires attention or action, whereas fear is a phobia or aversion to something that causes fear or discomfort. How the fuck does that even work
Yeah,
as a definition?
discomfort.
It fucking
Yeah.
refers to itself. That's stupid.
Why not just watch a clip from the debate and judge what emotion they're playing on?
Oh, because all the debates are fear. For Republican debates, 100% fear. um,
So silly. Not at all.
I, I, I think that they are. Um, I'll put a. Can I put an asterisk on this one? Maybe we'll come back to this one. But this, I really do believe it belongs right in this area here. That they are worried about it, they're concerned about it, they're afraid of it, and because you're suggesting that there might be a concern, that they're concerned rather than afraid, I'm willing to move back towards the center. Uh, well, and I still think it's unjustified.
Do the migrant caravans exist?
Yes,
You just don't think it's justified to be
afraid of them.
concerned over
Right.
their impact on the country.
They make the country better. They increase our economy. They make our economy better.
That is baseless speculation.
No, they come in, they do the work for very little pay. Our entire country was built by slaves, and now we just have economic slaves do the hard work for us.
So
This
silly.
increases our economy. It makes us better. And if we were smart, we'd make them into citizens and give them rights, but we don't do that. I think that
ID say
we're completely
Republicans are more afraid
backward.
of caravans than is justified, but ID say they're somewhat justified.
So there's Popo says there's some justification for it, but they are afraid. Yeah, the more afraid of caravans than is justified, but they are somewhat justified. So it goes into the middle a little bit.
Well, Sulis brings up something interesting: fear
Hmm.
of losing jobs, fear of criminals, fear of fellow Americans taking this country in a direction they don't like. Um, those things are. I don't know if I'd call those fears though.
They're,
Even if you did, well, hold on. Even if you did call those fears, then those ones I would say are eminently justified. 100%. I mean, even if you don't lose jobs as a result of migrant caravans, right? It is a fact that labor is a commodity, which means if you have an abundance of labor, if you have more of it, then maybe you don't lose jobs, but jobs are then less valuable. If you have a lot of people, and any number of them are willing to work at the lowest price that can be offered, then what you're dealing with is an oversupply of labor, which means that labor becomes less valuable in
okay.
the supply demand equation.
You're making well-reasoned and intelligent economic arguments. What's on TV? What do the people say? What do the people say on Facebook? That they're gonna steal our jobs. They're gonna, just like Sewell said, be criminals.
The term economic slaves is disrespectful to actual slavery.
I've
It's
never
like
seen the
calling
movie A
the
Day
Great
Without a
Recession
Mexican,
an economic
but
holocaust.
I am willing to bet that it has to do with Mexicans who are illegal immigrants who are doing
RRY,
jobs
but
that
that's gonna get a yikes from me.
supposedly Americans don't want to do. And I'm gonna go with they do want to do those jobs, except they don't want to do them for the prices that are currently being offered.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm an American, and I am, I don't want to do backbreaking work at $5 an hour. If I'm going to do really hard work, I don't want to be compensated at the same level as somebody who flips patties at McDonald's is being compensated at. I want to be compensated substantially more because I am exerting
At
myself
Papo
substantially
G42, I
more to
can
do that job.
understand your point.
And those jobs should be paying substantially more. It's
So,
a market that has been distorted by the fact that we can get very cheap labor illegally
not
to do it.
Not to drag this entire discussion backwards. Who do you think Who do you think distorts that market?
What do you mean?
Who distorts? You said the market was distorted. Who do you think does that? Investors.
Whoever's hiring them.
Investors. They distort that market.
Doesn't
Because
even have to be an
they're
investor. If
the
you're
board,
just a
they're the people. They're
dude,
in
if you're just a
charge.
farmer, if you just run an orchard or you run a grove or something, then your laborers, you don't have to be an investor to be the owner, and you're just going to pay people the least that you can pay them to get the job done. Thing
Especially
is,
when
you
the
bring
people
in
in
people who
question
are
voluntarily
undocumented,
go through hell to get into the
or
U.S. in
when you bring
stark
in people
contrast to
who
the slave trade.
will work for substantially less than the market rate is, you distort that market.
Okay. And you distort it because it's fun or because you want more money?
Well, of course, because you want more money.
Okay.
But I'm I'm arguing
Now I agree with
against
your underlying point that the U.S. relies on illegal
the
immigration for our economy
free
to run.
capitalist system.
Right. That capitalism is the problem. That's what
I
I'm getting
think
at.
that I don't think so at all. I think that it does require control, right? It's especially in terms of the way that it's been built up in our society. I don't think we can have open borders
What
because
am I
if you think
looking
about
at?
it, if you take a cup and you fill that cup with water, the water can reach the top of that cup, right? If we think of the water as our economy in the cup. If you then take a bowl and it's the height of the water that measures the economy, you take that cup and you pour it into a large bowl, that water is not going to go nearly as high. Right?
Okay. One sec.
That's
Let
the
me talk
problem
to
that I'm
let me
looking
talk to chat real quick. Zeno Cider Omega, first time chatter. What am I looking at? Well, what you're looking at is my name is Waldo. I am a leftish type person. I'm talking to my friend Thomas, and he is a rightish type person. And I am charting Republican fears. Welcome to the stream. We've been at it for a little while. What I'm doing is putting things that I think Republicans are afraid of into a justified or unjustified matrix to determine how their brains work.
The ground zero mosque goes all the way to the left, by the way.
They're not afraid of it.
No, nobody's afraid of it.
They ran hours and hours of footage about the ground zero mosque. They are absolutely afraid of it. They are terrified
Not
of
at
the
all.
ground zero mosque being built. Yes,
Nope. They are not
I'm
afraid
gonna-
at all of it. I completely disagree.
Why
This
was it on the
one,
news all
You're
the time?
trying to put Republicans into the matrix. I knew it.
it's not a matter of fear. It's a matter of outrage. Would you say that outrage and fear are the same thing?
No, outrage
No.
and fear,
Then
different
Ground Zero
things.
Mosque is not even on the chart. It's not
They
afraid at all.
had a meltdown. They absolutely lost their shit
In
about
outrage,
that thing
yes.
because they're afraid of it.
No,
They didn't get
not at
that
all.
outrage
Not
out
even
of
close to a
nowhere.
fear.
They were terrified of
It's
this
an
thing.
outrage. It's And first of all, I understand that the Ground Zero mosque thing is total bullshit. It
It's
was
not
like
real.
a
Okay, so
children's
it's
center that was
Outrage is anger and anger is a product of fear.
mischaracterized as a mosque, and it wasn't even on the same block, right? I get it,
also it was there
but at the same
before
time,
9/11.
I get it, but it's not a fear.
I
It's when the story was brought about, there was a certain amount of outrage as a result of the story.
Shinsunto says outrage is anger and anger is a product of fear.
So silly. This is not Star
I
Wars,
know.
and you're not Yoda.
I don't like that Yoda said it. I completely agree with Yoda even in that TV show. But I think they are absolutely terrified of the Ground Zero Mosque. Yeah,
So
this is
silly.
hugely feared.
Nobody's
Fear's the mind
terrified. Nobody's
killer.
scared of it. It's ridiculous.
I will. How do we
This one
move
doesn't even
forward?
belong on the chart.
I think it's a perfect explanation of what I'm talking about. This is a very clear example of a thing not being a problem, but Republican
Well,
politicians
I'll tell you
turning
where I
it
think
into
this
a
belongs.
problem.
If you're going to put it on the chart,
Mhm.
this belongs in the COVID spot, right where the COVID spot is. Not afraid and justified in being not afraid at all.
Justified in not being afraid.
First of all, Thomas, this is Star Wars. The Star Wars just happened a time ago in a galaxy away. People lash out all time out of fear
Chat's talking
whether it
about
sounded
Star
like
Wars.
Yoda or not. Check out Waldo's videos https
So you're suggesting that
www.youtubecom at Waldo videos.
so it should be justified.
No one's
their
afraid of the
lack of
Ground Zero
fear.
Mosque. The thing that they're outraged about is a symbol of, and again, it was a fabrication by the media in the first place.
Yes, I agree. What did the media intend
But
for
the
it?
thing that they were upset about, is the idea that something that glorifies a particular religion is put in a place where that particular religion is responsible for massive deaths in
Here's how I
in
think
our country.
here's how I think we have to play this game moving forward. You and I. Who is the number one right-wing news figure? It's Tucker Carlson.
Is he still?
If he wasn't, he was for most of the time. For a very long time.
He
For a
was,
very long
yeah.
time, he was. If Tucker Carlson were talking to the TV camera about the Ground Zero Mosque, is he very afraid of it or not afraid of it? I think he's pushing fear. I think he's suggesting
I don't think he's afraid of it at all.
I think he's entirely afraid of it. Absolutely. And
Pog
is he
maybe has
justified or unjustified in
maybe Popog has the right idea, is rather than afraid, upset. Because sure, Republicans can be very afraid, not afraid, very upset about a Ground Zero Mosque, but we're not afraid of it.
Okay. I'm going to leave this one off to the side because it's so shockingly contentious. I think I think it belongs exactly right there. Because they're silly to be afraid of it. I agree. They shouldn't be afraid of it.
And we're not.
That's I think they are. I think that
not even close.
I think your typical boomer on Facebook who's watching Tucker Carlson every day, who's got the Fox News on, is terrified of the Ground Zero Mosque. Yes, they were afraid of it. Let's go on to the next one, maybe or maybe not. What do we got? We got interesting ones. I think this one's interesting.
I think you're mixing up what you're afraid with the generalized Republican fear.
Yeah, I think the chat's right in suggesting that the general typical Republicans aren't you, Thomas. You're braver and smarter than the typical Republicans. And I'm agreeing with that. You're more logical, and I'm willing to talk to you about these kinds of things.
AIDS is a very, very old concern. I don't think anyone's afraid of AIDS anymore.
Yeah, at
You
the
can control
moment.
AIDS with one pill nowadays.
Yeah, at the moment. This one's a
I'm not
difficult
going to defend
choice.
fears from the 80s and 90s, dude.
In the 80s and 90s, maybe I should call it AIDS in the 90s or something like that, because in the 90s we were 100% afraid,
Oh,
and
everyone was.
everyone
AIDS
was,
was like it's a death sentence back
and
then.
maybe
Fucking
even
Magic Johnson.
justified.
It was totally justified.
Uh,
In the 80s
I'd
and
bring it
90s,
down a little
yes.
bit. I'd bring it down a little bit. I wouldn't be 100% justified because you have to catch it, you know. There were ways to avoid it, but
Yes.
and some of the
You
unjustified
don't.
ones.
I won't even say it. Never mind.
Well, there were people who were freaking out about toilets and urinals, and how you were going to catch it at a diner by using the bathroom.
No, AIDS is a
Republicans were not afraid
bloodborne
of AIDS at all.
transmission the
Their
same way that
airport
Ebola
bathroom
was,
behavior
but
proves it
AIDS
rimshot.
was, I guess, not bloodborne. It was sexually transmitted as well.
Right.
So,
So there was some fear that was unjustified. But Popo makes a good joke. Well done, sir. Um, uh, their airport bathroom behavior proves that they weren't afraid. So, and I don't think this is a very good project. But I have to try
I
to
mean,
figure it
it
out.
probably would have gone a lot better if I wasn't opposing you on every single
Maybe.
one
Gay
of
blood
the
donation bans were
subjects.
totally justified.
I don't know.
Gay-
I think
Gay blood donations were somewhat justified. Yeah.
I have the math to prove it.
Yeah,
I think
and
that it
makes
goes in
sense.
the middle of the orange box, like right in the middle of the orange box.
Okay. They were very afraid of it, and they were somewhat justified.
No, right in the middle.
I thought that was the middle.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Sorry, your stream is like 2 seconds behind
It
for
is
me.
just 2 seconds behind. So I think that could belong there. Did I spell it wrong? I don't know.
But I think that it would be silly to say that it was just Republicans that had that in that exact spot, because I think Democrats did too.
We
I
can
think
do
everyone did.
Yeah, we can come to an agreement, and that's what I'm going to get at. That's the point I think I'm going to get to. I think I'm already starting to see it. The orange box will be agreed by both sides. That's the projection maybe I have for the moment. The prediction that I have is that the orange will be mostly acceptable for everybody. So let's keep going down the list. If you're having a good time, are you having a good time? Is chat having a good time? You guys watching?
I'm
Are
having
you
a great time.
Are you enjoying these things? I know it's painful to watch me try and click it, but I appreciate everybody who's here. Thanks for coming in. I'm going to go to the next one on the list. What else is on the list? If you guys have suggestions to put on the list, by all means, toss them in the chat. Dungeons and Dragons. That's the next one.
I am having so good of a time watching this bad chart making.
Not afraid. Totally justified to not be
Sorry,
afraid of
the
it.
chart is bad.
Top left.
Um,
Actually, it goes even more top left than COVID.
You're suggesting that the Republicans are not afraid of D&D. I disagree entirely. And that they are justified in not being afraid. I'm thinking, so, okay. I think that they are absolutely afraid of it in an unjustified way. I think we go here with D&D.
Dude, I play D&D.
Yes, I know. And your mom thinks
I've
that
played
it's
it with you.
I know. And it's a good time. And your mom thinks that it's stealing your soul. Your
Let's
that's
get
not
some
true at
chick
all.
tracks up in here.
Your
Because-
mother, your
Because
grandmother
I told my
thinks
parents
that
that
it's
I was playing D&D, and they were okay with that.
okay. Do
No, so
have
this one is
general
one where there was 100% a
satanic
This
panic?
is wrong. Republicans are justified in their fear of the
yeah,
OGL.
panic about it, and that's gone. Nobody cares anymore.
It's gone now. Okay, so it's into the Ground Zero Mosque area because it's no longer an
Actually,
issue,
I
or
know
they're not
I know
afraid?
more people. I know more people who are Republican that play D&D than people that are leftists that play D&D.
Okay, this is the pile of things that they're not afraid of, according to you.
Yeah.
They're not afraid of the Ground
Nobody's
Zero
afraid of
Mosque.
D&D.
Nobody's afraid of D&D. Were they? Was it part of the satanic panic back in the day?
I recall the media making a stink about it, so I will say that
It was part of the
at the very
satanic
least,
panic.
I recall that. Yes. But nowadays, I would definitely say no. No one's scared of fucking D&D.
Okay, perhaps I am being too wide in my time range here.
Well, Thomas isn't exactly
Well,
an
it definitely
evangelical
shows your age.
Republican.
I mean,
Right, and Chat has made a good point. You're not an evangelical Republican. They'd probably have D&D on their list.
I mean, let's be real. The evangelicals at one point had fucking Harry Potter on the blacklist.
Right, and
Like,
that's because they're afraid of it, right?
but no, it's not because they're afraid of it. It was there, not because they were afraid.
Of course they were.
I know a lot of Republicans, though, myself included, that are very big fans and have always been big fans of
They're
Harry
afraid
Potter.
the witches were going to steal their children.
Yeah, KBP says they were afraid the witches were going to steal their children or put ideas into their head that not Jesus. So they were afraid of it. I think they were afraid of Harry Potter. I think they were afraid of D&D back then because it's very similar. D&D and Harry Potter are shockingly similar. And I think they were afraid of it. They didn't know what it was. They didn't understand it. They couldn't wrap their heads around it. It
Baba
was
Yaga
something new.
comes to steal their souls.
And that's why I feel that they are afraid of it. Next up, the gay agenda. I think this goes right here. They are very afraid of it, and it is entirely unjustified.
You're gonna have to be a lot more specific about
Maybe it's too
what is the
unspecific.
agenda.
It doesn't matter. They're afraid of it. They tell me about it all the time. They complain about it constantly. Hey, yeah, we can't allow this. This is the gay agenda. The gay agenda is coming out to get you folks. This is what they're pushing for. This is the gay agenda. I hear the gay agenda a lot when I listen to right-wing people.
I believe their fear is that the gays will convert everyone and stop the population growth.
KBP, that is one of the things that they think the gay agenda encompasses. Gay agenda is like the word globalist. Like it can mean anybody you want. It can mean anything you want. And I think they're afraid of it unjustifiably. I mean, we can Google it real quick and see what pops up when I type in the gay agenda. Let's see. Okay, Wikipedia. Let's go look at Wikipedia. The gay agenda. Where are you? Why can't I put you on screen? Come on, Wikipedia. Nope, just not gonna happen. Not gonna work for me. I've been at it for too long. Okay, anyway, let me read from the Wikipedia then. The gay agenda is a term used by sections of the Christian religious right as a disparaging way to describe the advocacy of cultural acceptance and
So I think the
normalization of
justification of the
non-heterosexuals.
fear is mixed. There are plenty of unjustified ones like the population control KBP 24 mentions, but there.
Yeah, the term originated among social conservatives in the United States and has been adopted in nations with active LGBTQ movements as Hungary and Uganda. So the idea is, hey, we would like equal rights.
I don't know if the
and
latter
then
falls into the gay agenda.
The conservative Christian type people say that that's the gay agenda. I think they're very afraid of it. I think it is in exactly the right spot.
I disagree.
Because they're not afraid of it?
No, I think this one could actually make its or have a presence on the scale.
Mm-hmm. You would just put it somewhere else?
Yeah, probably. The gay agenda.
I mean, is that not what old Florida man Ron DeSantis is fighting against literally every day?
Hold on. You're gonna have to separate uh the gay agenda from trans issues
That would
on
be the
this one,
trans
I
agenda.
think.
That would be the trans agenda. Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. So I'll make a new one then. Here we go. I'll do that. That's what we'll do. We'll move the gay agenda here for being
So
less
gay agenda
afraid.
has got to be like in the not afraid area
Nah,
at
they're
this
still afraid.
point,
They're still scared of it.
or at
That,
least on the
and
line,
then
at
what we
least on the
do
middle line.
is we go to trans agenda. We move it way over here.
I think that one belongs in the orange category.
Because it is justified. I completely disagree. Entirely, 100%.
Nah, Thomas is wrong. Gay agenda is still like slightly yellow, maybe like halfway to the line.
Popo says
We're
gay
keeping an
agenda
eye on
should
your
be
gays for
in
now.
yellow, but slightly left of where it is, and that's what you were suggesting as well. So I'm willing to move it over a little bit, but I still think it's
No, he's saying that it's more justified than you're giving it right now.
maybe halfway to the line.
So he's saying that the gay agenda should be where migrant caravans is.
Perfect.
Yeah. There we go. I think that's where it belongs. And you're right. The trans agenda is far more fear mongery, and it's entirely
I think
unjustified. You would put it up closer to orange, but I completely disagree.
I'd definitely put it on the line. And here's the reasoning for that.
Hi, I am Buzz from Taiwan.
Is the gay agenda is one of those things where it's like, all right, a kid or a teenager comes out as gay and their sexual orientation is that way.
At Lu Nai Tang, hi Buzz, welcome to the stream. It is a bit of a shit show.
We should not be looking to demonize that and whatnot. Like, people are who they are, right? The trans agenda is a little more concerning. And that is because
I agree
it comes
with gay
with
agenda's placement now. Trans agenda, I agree with Thomas, is more orange than currently.
And permanently body-altering
gay frog agenda
modifications that can happen as a result. If a person in high school, and I know a lot of girls that were lesbians in high school that are not lesbians anymore. If a person in high school decides that they're trans and they undergo surgeries, that is permanent.
Yes. How does that harm you? It doesn't.
It harms those people if it turns out that they're not actually trans.
Didn't you say that your loss in the economy and loss on the stock market was your fault, and nobody should be controlling what you do?
Did I ever say that children should be investing in the stock market?
Well, what I'm saying is that you demand autonomy for yourself, but then remove autonomy from others.
Oh, no. Once you're an adult, if you want to chop your dick off, do it. The concern about the trans agenda is the impact that it's having on children, people who are not of legal age yet. If you're 18,
the doctors aren't doing that. The doctors are doing things properly,
if you're 18,
but you've been feared. You've been told that the doctors are all blue-haired woke scolds who are forcing this on children because they want you to be afraid. Which is why I've moved it so far over onto the afraid part. And I'm suggesting that it is unjustified because the people on the right-wing media are lying to you about how prevalent this problem is.
Won't somebody think of the children?
Won't somebody please think of the children? Yeah, the uh, meme from the Simpsons.
I think you made an assertion without evidence. I think
If
that
doctors pushed
it is the
opioids just
case
for money, why
that
wouldn't
there
they push
are
hormones
a
just for
lot of
money?
people who are going to have some serious problems with their transition in
That's
the
what I've
near
seen in
future.
conservative media. They make it
We
sound
just
like kids are getting
we're
forced to
we talked
transition.
about this before. We are
Mhm.
At
just
Papo
at that tipping point
G42, there
where
ice no
the
money in
trans
it.
stuff has become mainstream, and we're going to start seeing people a lot more regretting the decision to make physical changes to their body that cannot be reversed.
And
Okay.
they're being forced by the millions
Also,
where that's ridiculous
Popop
numbers.
basically on point. Although not exactly where I was going to go with it. Transition surgery is unbelievably lucrative.
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It is. There's no money compared to opioids.
What do you
There's
mean it
this
creates
much money.
customers for life?
Opioids has billions to be made. There's billions to be made in money, but there's not billions to be made in transitioning. There's just not. There's such a small market for it, and estrogen is incredibly cheap, ridiculously cheap. If they're people, the estrogen and the testosterone are incredibly cheap. The surgeries could be a thing that makes people that surgeons want to do, but it's not as lucrative as the right wing fear media has told you that they are. You said that it was incredibly lucrative, and
Small
I'm
market
saying that
literally
the
means it's open
Republicans
for
have told you
expansion.
that
Large
because they're
market
lying to you.
means you can't make
They
any
want
money
you to be
since you
afraid.
can't grow.
It is. It is incredibly lucrative. It creates a customer for life. Although
I think you're
there
spitting
are
fear
actually
propaganda at me.
there are certain elements. Well, hold on. The no, the problem with transgender is that it can be considered like hate speech to call somebody by not their
How
preferred
many
pronoun.
More
penises do you
fear.
have to lop
That's
off?
fear
I think that's
propaganda
silly.
you're saying at me. That's fear propaganda.
No, it's
They
not.
have told you that
But
you're going to go to jail if you call somebody by the wrong pronoun.
Now I
Fear.
personally think doctors are doing what they think is right for
well,
trans
actually,
stuff and
I'll give you this
OPIODSES.
nugget, I guess.
Mhm.
My opinion on what do they call it? Gender affirming care
hmm
is I'm fine with it.
Check out Waldo's videos https
However, it needs to be available for everybody.
www.youtubecom at Waldo videos.
So, I'm sure you will make this concession, but here's what I would ask for in return for allowing anybody who is above the age of 18 to do is if you want hormones, you get hormones. If
But the
I
fact
feel
that some
like
states
I'm not
enable
enough of
minors
a
to take
man
prescription drugs
and I want
without
to
parental
affirm my
knowledge or
gender,
consent is
you
fucking
know what I should
wild.
be able to do? I should be able to get a testosterone prescription.
You don't even need a prescription. You call the people on the internet. I get commercials for that every day.
That's
There's
no.
12
You get
ads
commercials
in my
for
thing right now
supplementation
for supplements that have
for like
testosterone in them.
ashwagandha,
No, you can go
or
just get testosterone anytime you want. It comes in a cream. You
no,
just
you
rub it all
can't.
over yourself.
It's you can't.
It's cheap and easy.
No.
It's cheap and it's
It's
easy.
a controlled substance to get
Nah.
an actual testosterone injection.
No.
The things you rub on yourself, they're total bullshit. They barely work. They
They've got
no.
a
I'm saying
they've got a
if
rubber
if
stamp.
the
You go
no
to their
no
website. You go to their
I'm
website. You
saying
talk to the
if
doctor. The doctor
the
gives you the
Loki, I've got a
natural
prescription.
product for you.
testosterone level for a human male is between 300 and 1100 nanograms per deciliter.
And even those are
And
not good to.
well,
They're
300
not
is
to be
total
trusted.
trash. If you're at
It's
300, you're a
it's
cuck. Like
propagandized. Those numbers are
if I want to be
propagandized themselves.
3,000 nanograms per deciliter, I should be allowed to. And
I
that's
agree.
where I'll say if you're an adult and you want to take estrogen, you want to fucking do body modifications to you know remove the breasts or to remove the penis and put
That's
a
all propaganda
vagina
from the hair
there
loss medication
and whatnot.
companies.
Go for it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like,
Also,
look,
the trans sports
people
stuff
don't
was
get your
entirely
pronouns right,
real and is probably the biggest reason for any of this stuff.
it's that's unfortunate, but you can't persecute them for doing it.
At
I'm all
42,
about
I agree there is an
the
impossible
gender
task there.
affirmation as long as it's applied to everyone.
I'm
And
suggesting that some
also,
of the things you've said are actual propaganda from fearmongers. Today, some of those things that you're saying about them are propaganda from fearmongers, and that's why I've put it so far on the very afraid side.
the transport stuff I think it's a different conversation.
Different conversation entirely. It's impossible to win, and there is no right answer. We can.
I do actually think that there is a right answer, and it's, unfortunately, I don't think trans athletes should be able to compete in gendered sports.
Right, and then you've taken that away from them, and then it's not good. It's not. There's no right answer. That's not a right answer. That doesn't let them participate. I'm thinking that it's such a small, unimportant thing that you let each school district decide and move on with our lives.
I think it is an
Giant.
important thing, though. I
I
mean,
think
we
it's all not
test.
important as well. I think it's also unimportant.
No, I'm saying it is important in terms of those sports.
No, high school sports are not important.
No,
They never
see,
have been.
here's the thing, though, is that when we talk about sports and, let's say, football players, right? We test those guys for steroids. Sometimes, yes, they get away with using steroids, but we do try to prevent them from using steroids. We test them for it. Being transgender in the first place uses steroids to perform the gender transition. And then there's also the reverse, where a male transitions to a female, but had all the advantages of having the hormones of a male for many, many years
Through the male
before
puberty.
transition.
Yes, I get it. I can see how that would be a.
It's as if a female athlete used steroids to get to where she is. It's
Yes, I
not
agree.
a fair advantage.
There is no right answer. Because if you give everybody the rights, if you come up with a plan, you'd have to apply them to everyone. That would have to come from a giant government thing, and it's a gray area with 1,000 shades of gray. You can't put black and white onto it. You'll leave somebody out. There is no right answer. Is what I'm getting at. This is why you got to leave it to locals, local authority. Each school can have their own rules and positions, and we all just agree with it and move on with our lives. As shitty as it would be to be a trans person in Colorado, I'm making some place up. There's a place in Colorado that says absolutely zero trans stuff. It sucks for them. I'm sorry. We can't upend the entire system to create a giant government rule that comes down on your side. It overly goofs things up and it makes things too complicated.
I think there is a right answer depending on how you answer this. Why do we have women's leagues? Why not just one open league?
Why do we not just have one open league from chat? Because then the men would win every time. I mean, the women wouldn't even get to compete. If you want to get rid of men's and women's leagues in non-competitive, non-physically active sports, there's a chess league for men and women, right? Like, make that one league. I'm okay with that. And then the trans problem goes away, but it really shows up only in like physical, actual competition, which men always have an advantage. And people with testosterone have an advantage. This was a problem back in the 70s when intersex people who are have XXY chromosomes, something along those lines. They have a chromosomal disorder, but they have testosterone producing glands in their body, and they
Title
go into
IX is the
women's
reason why
stuff,
you have to have a
into
women's chess
women's
league
sport.
in college.
It's a mess, and there is no right answer. There's 1,000 shades of gray.
I think that the genetic argument is
We want to have women in chess is the
Not
reason why chess
relevant.
leagues make a women's
I
chess
think
league.
the people that are actually intersex
Mhm.
are not the people we're talking about when we talk about
I know.
transgender
I
people.
agree. We're not talking about them.
So
But
when we
that
talk about
problem,
XXY people, like, well, hold on.
if you make a
I've
giant
seen this
law
in
from the government,
in
it
a
could affect
lot,
them, couldn't it? It could affect people
possibly,
improperly.
but I've
You
seen
don't
this in a
like big
lot of
government.
debates and
I'm
whatnot.
I'm
It's
being not big government, which is unusual for me, you know?
the answer to Popog's question is we have women's and men's leagues because
So you
women
want to eliminate
and
Title
men are
IX at
physically
Waldo?
different from one another.
I don't know enough about Title IX to discuss the idea. I know it has issues. I know it has benefits, and they are vast and complicated. Every person who's for it you can throw an argument about how terrible they are, and everyone who's against it, you can throw an argument about how terrible they are. Title IX is an incredibly complicated thing. I'm a gender abolitionist. Just don't have any genders. Uh,
I've never heard a
And
left-wing person
Shinsinto and
oppose Title
KBP, you're
IX.
both making ridiculous arguments right now.
yeah, I know. We're supposed to be good doing this thing. We're not talking about Title IX at the moment. I can do a research stream into it later.
The idea is that
One last thing
what
on
I'm saying
gender,
is
and then
if
we'll
you're
move
an
on.
adult,
Mhm.
do whatever you want to your body.
Great.
Right? Children are very influenceable. You can get children to do a lot of things, including life-altering things.
This is why I'm calling fear propaganda. I think you are saying that because people you have listened to have bought into and agreed with fear propaganda.
If someone does something that alters their life and it's not right for them, and their brains were not developed enough to make that choice, is it really propaganda to say maybe we shouldn't push that idea on them?
If you're suggesting on a nationwide news TV show that millions of people are being harmed by this ideology, then yes. And that's what I get from them when I listen to right-wing people, not you, on the news talk about the trans agenda. That is what they're pushing. They're pushing that this is a gigantic thing that's coming for your kids.
What is 0.5% of 400 million?
Very incredibly tiny is what it is.
You suggesting that someone else is forcing kids to transition.
And that's just me being generous in describing the way they are. There are worse places than the nightly news. There are worse places than Fox News on the internet where you can go and find literal, actual, nightmarish levels of hate for the trans people.
0.5% of 400 million is 2 million people.
Yeah. Pissant numbers. That's almost nobody. Those 2 million people have rights and choices and stuff like that. And if you're pushing the fear that the trans agenda is coming for your children, it's because you don't like the results. You don't want the things that they're ending up with. You are pushing fear, propaganda.
They're children.
Yes.
There
are children in Gaza being bombed right now, but we don't mind that. We don't care about that.
What?
Because that's
because of course we do.
No, we don't. Because okay.
And no,
Trans
Shinsinto,
agenda
no. I'm not suggesting
is
anyone's
over.
forcing kids to transition.
We're moving on from this issue because
they're influencing them too.
We're supposed to be filling in this this thing. We've been hard stun locked on this specific one for a very long time. And again, neither of us is trans, and neither of us is knows all that many trans people. TikTok, that's the next one on the list. Where does TikTok go? I think it goes right here. Republicans are very afraid of it. They're slightly afraid of it, and it is somewhat justified. I mean, it is a spy tool for the Chinese, right?
I would definitely say if we did change afraid to upset, then upset would put it to the right. quite far into the orange.
TikTok harms the children.
TikTok harms the children, says KBP. That is why that won't someone please think about the children is the reason that they're afraid of these things. That
I'm on
TikTok
record.
you
I would
don't
ban
like
TikTok
it. You would ban it.
if I had my way.
I know. And
I
you're
think TikTok is poison
almost,
for
you
the
have a
brain.
little bit of justification for that. Not a lot, but I think you have a little bit of a justification for such.
I think it
So-
harms attention spans.
There you go. See?
I think it's I think it promotes stupidity. Actually, every single time that I've seen a short or a TikTok or a clip that
What if
is labeled
TikToks were just short
POV and then
masterclasses?
it's not an actual POV, makes me stupider. When they say POV and it's watching the person who's doing the thing that's supposed to be the point of view, I mean, I gotta say, it just makes me want to fucking take those people and put them in a concentration camp. What can I say?
Check out Waldo's videos
Okay.
https www.youtubecom at Waldo videos.
This will be the last one for
Cough
today
Thomas getting stupider.
because I have to go and eat lunch and all that fun stuff, do work around the house. So this is the last one for today. China. Oh, jeez. China. How? I'm going to suggest that Republicans are very afraid of China, and they're slightly justified.
No, this one's the top right.
Top right, so it needs to be going up here. It's more justified that we should
Very
be afeared of them,
justified, yeah.
and we are afeared of them. Why do you think we should be afeared of them?
Because the vast majority of not only our drugs, but our microchips, our cars, and lots of other things
Juliana.
are produced in China. And those that aren't produced in China, especially concerning microchips, are produced in Taiwan, which is adjacent to China. I would say China, more than Iran, is the greatest threat to our national security.
Okay. And because of that, it gets to go right there. Okay. So
It's an extreme concern, and it is very justified to be concerned about them.
okay. So right off the okay. So we're gonna call it there. We've been at it for quite a few hours, and I appreciate everybody who's here. But let's look at the thing that we have so far. It's not a very good project. I was worried that this wouldn't work very well, but you and I almost entirely agree on the orange box. And we severely disagree on the yellow box. Everything that caused us quite a bit of contention was in the yellow box. Everything that we kind of agreed on was in the orange. And there's nothing in the green box yet. What is an unjustified fear?
I mean, agreeing on
not
the
afraid
orange
of.
box is a facet of how this chart is being
I
made.
suspect that if we had started with this axis, you
Mhm.
would have disagreed with me on COVID's placement.
They're not afraid of it, and it is justified. You're right. They are. It is unjustified. Well, they're not afraid of it.
Not afraid and not justified on not being afraid because you think we should have been afraid of it.
Yeah, it should have been afraid of. You're right. COVID ought to be down here now that we've adjusted it. You're right. Popog is right. Agreeing on the orange box is a facet of how this chart is being made. Yes, that's kind of what I'm doing here, Popog. I want Thomas, this right-wing friend of mine, to comprehend, and I want him to comprehend me, and I want to comprehend him, so that we can almost come to an agreement and understand what actually is a problem, what isn't. We're building bridges here, and you've helped out quite a bit. So yeah, I think you're right.
I'm just always right.
I think we put COVID down there. See, now you tore the bridge down. Um,
See, I think COVID's in exactly the right spot.
you think it's in exactly the right spot, but
Yep.
because I think it is justified to not be afraid. Okay, I got you. Yeah. I disagree with where COVID is now. Now that we've changed we put it up there before the things. Um, you should be afraid of it, and they're not, and that befuddles me.
I'm
Okay.
not afraid of the common cold. I'm not afraid of the flu.
I know you're not. You ought to be. They can and will kill you. They killed lots and lots and lots of people. But you're not afraid of that. And that seems unjustified
COVID should
to
also
me.
have two notes: COVID 2020 and COVID 2024. Because they're different.
Popog suggests we have two different time frames as well. Okay. We might have to add a time dimension to this, but then that would be far more complicated.
Actually, that is fair because COVID
Yeah.
2020 and COVID 2024, it has evolved in the 4 years
Mhm.
that it's been around to where it was a lot more deadly in 2020 than
Mhm.
it is now. And we actually had a Delta variant that was more deadly than original COVID,
Mhm.
and Delta variant killed itself because it killed all its hosts.
Because it was its hosts were all dying. Okay. And it wasn't able to
Right.
spread properly. Okay. All
Like,
right.
have you ever played the Plague game?
Republicans
the
were
Plague
Plague Tale?
justified in
No,
their
I
lack
haven't.
of fear in 2020
Oh, dude,
IMHO. No,
it's the
very
one where you always
justified.
have to start in Madagascar because it's the only one
Oh,
where
okay.
you can't infect,
Now,
and then
Madagascar.
That
yeah,
makes sense.
if you ever
Madagascar.
played the game, um,
Thomas is based.
the idea is to infect everybody, and then you become very deadly and kill everybody.
Okay. the
Spoilers.
But COVID played the game wrong, and now COVID's just the
Yeah,
common cold.
Madagascar and Greenland, right?
I think it's very justified to not be afraid of COVID now. In 2020, I would say it was more justified than it is currently to be afraid of COVID. But
Okay.
given past information, or current information that is, I would say that the amount of fear that we had of COVID back in 2020 was also unjustified. It was not that bad
Yet
that
it
we had to
killed
shut
lots and
down
lots and lots of people.
like
It's not
100
that bad.
and
Oh my
something
God,
thousand.
my man. It's not that bad, and it literally killed millions. Where the trans agenda is nightmarish and kills nobody.
Justification is based on
This is
information
what I'm talking
available
about
at the
when
time.
we don't align on our goals here. COVID killing
You can't
millions
hindsight
is bad.
justification.
The trans agenda doesn't kill millions. So it's less a thing to worry about. We gotta end it at the moment because I have to go eat lunch, and this
Check out
is
Waldo's
in an
videos,
interesting position.
https www.youtubecom at Waldo videos.
Waiting for the lady to stop talking. Okay. I
Also,
appreciate
COVID could have solved Social Security.
COVID could have solved Social Security, but we didn't let it. You're right. What a stupid thing for the liberals
If
to do.
only we had thrown more old people into it.
I appreciate everybody who's here. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for following. Thomas, I appreciate you being here. I love arguing with you. It makes me feel good. Any ending
good
message
stuff.
for the folks?
Thanks for the stream. Thomas is based.
Don't wear tinfoil hats.
You've got a
They
fan
amplify.
now.
They amplify the
More
5G
Thomas.
signals.
You've got a fan now, actually. It's very cool. I appreciate that. So, my name is Waldo, and I feel the politics. I will be back tomorrow night, probably just for video games. Maybe, I doubt there will be any, wait, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Monday. Yeah, tomorrow's the day off, so we'll just play video games. It's a holiday. Right?
MLK Day.
MLK Day. We'll just
I'm
we'll play some
available
video
tomorrow
games.
if
Okay.
you want to do
Down with Waldo, up
stream.
with Thomas.
Then that's fine. Yeah, I'll start about 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We'll play a video game. We'll have the TTS on, so you can come in. You can ask us questions. Ask Thomas a question. You have a fan now, so he can ask you a bunch of ideas, and then I can argue with him. That's totally fine. This is how it's supposed to work. This is great. So, a couple of new followers today, so super cool. We're growing, we're getting
But
better.
how am I going to scream racial slurs?
You can't scream racial slurs,
That's
Popo.
the real
I'm sorry.
question. Definitely a sock puppet.
You're being attacked as a sock puppet, Popog. So, everybody, thanks for coming in. Thanks for watching. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the thumbs up buttons, or don't. I don't tell you what to do. I appreciate everybody who's here, and have a good day. Goodbye.